Send the letter, send the letter. Alright, did it. Oh yeah, oh yeah. We came to just shout it out. I don't need that. The music. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I got something for y'all, baby boy. Baby boy. Just turned what, 4 o'clock? I know it's what, about 7 o'clock back in the city of Flint. My partner just hit me up. I told him we would be here around that time. So we here at that time, brother. Oh well. Oh sorry. Let me set that up for you can see. I hope you can see it on your system. And yeah, let me get some vibration. Yep, I see it. I see it. I see it. I see it. So, yeah, what's good in the neighborhood? We here. Everybody did what they had to do for them coins. I know. No matter what it was. Hope you had a prosperous day. Hope you had a productive day. I hope you had a day filled with all the things that you aspire to have and want to be. You are fulfilling those aspirations and those desires and working towards that goal to be the best you. So, with that being said, man, it's a glorious, glorious day. What's today? Wednesday. We was gonna do a different type of study this evening, a biblical study, but I hold that for another time because I was asked specifically by a couple brothers in my passing today, and it was. I said, of course we'll talk about it. You know, of course I'll illuminate and share these things with brothers and sisters. All we have to do is ask if we have an open heart. So remember, as we do these things, as we begin to open up our brick and mortar temple or gathering places in specific cities, these things are going to be shared freely on an everyday basis. You know, I'm going to have a schedule. Brothers and sisters have a schedule, but it'll be something that you'll be able to go to every day. It'll be a place of gathering. It won't be a place where you just go to on a so-called Sunday to hear so-called spiritual worship per se. So, we're going to talk about some things, man. We're going to clear up some things, I hope, that may have pondered in your mind. Some things people may have said or may have not said, and just show you some things to have you look with your own eye and see, because you see what I'm saying. Because you see these things that may be not shared. It's so many words, it's so many phrases that when you research them from the right perspective, it starts illuminating the duality of these things and these words that are really spells that we look over. And then when we look at things in other perspectives, as we start showing different spellings, different way words were spelled, how words were spelled, the true etymology of these words, it started to reveal so much. It starts to reveal so much wisdom. It starts to reveal so much academia. It starts to reveal so much scholarship. In that information that we're going to give today is going to be some things that you may have heard, you may not have heard, you may wonder about, but I hope you keep an open heart, an open mind. And I tell you to research what I'm saying. And always take notes. Because you want to be staying corrected when you're dealing with wisdom. Always, when you're dealing with any craft, you want to be matter factual. You don't want to have any assumptions. So, I challenge everybody before we do this walk to get your pencils and your papers, because we're not in a rush. And we're going to take our time with this, you know. And I hope the information that I give inspires someone. What's up, babe?
Ow.
You got your glasses on like Knight Rider.
What? I am Knight Rider.
We got an hour here. We're going to the gym. Some change. Huh?
I'm ready.
Uh-huh. Don't get comfortable. How you gonna get?
I just told my brother we was going to the gym.
Oh, you did?
Yep.
Why she wanna go?
Huh?
Why she wanna go?
Okay.
Yeah, she in the room. But okay, so let me speed this up because I got a couple things I need to handle. So it's some certain words that I want you to look up, especially a word. Have you guys ever heard of the museum? Have anybody ever heard of the museum? If you heard of the museum, then it's a deeper meaning to the museum. When you talk about scholars and a specific craft of wisdom. So the museum is attached to something when you research it. When it's spelled M-U-S-A-E-U-M. Museum. Also known as the M-O-U-S-E-I-O-N, when you research that, of Alexandria. Research these things and see what you get from wisdom. And see what I talk about of understanding and research and having a specific set of doing, certain things, which is universal. So, Keep that in your head about that museum. But I want to get to a subject at hand. Let me see, can I find it in my notes? Let me see, can I find it in my notes? Oh, wait a minute. Oops, I keep doing that. Wait 1 second. My fault. Did I do that again? Yeah, I did. My bad. Okay. I was all in it twice. But we're talking about God with us and certain aspects of wisdom, clearing up wisdom, not from a biased perspective, but from a perspective of peace, especially for our brothers and sisters, especially, with love, especially for our brothers and sisters that's misnomered Black Masons or Afro Shriners. I want us to be aware of the subjugation and the so-called racism in Shrinerdom and in everything when you put something before you from a lack of knowing. And if you have the understanding today, then who's the enemy? Think about these things. Because while you are petitioning for something that is rightfully yours, you must realize that Shrinerdom is from your story. It's from the Black Arab ancestors, so it's naturally already been yours through the blood right. As it is today, a man that is a free Mason per se usually encourages his sons and mothers, encourage their daughters, or a younger male and female in the family to petition for membership. And it is that way only. Those that were blood related would be a part of the sacred order. When we just having a conversation, with this in mind, the so-called racist, Euro Freemasons, no disrespect to no one, and the Shriners can afford to let you know the real truth behind the Moorish Masonry and Shrinerdom, the original and originators of the Masonry and the Kemetic science and the Shrinery. In no way do I try to offend anyone, because I'm not. This can easily be researched. Nor am I being a so-called hater or a so-called racist. None of that. But on the contrary, or however, the truth of the matter remains. The roots of this science of Masonry. And Shrinery are found in ancient Egypt. Just like when I tell you to look up the museum and tell me what you get. The MUSAEUM, also known as the Museum, the MOUSEION of Alexandria. Research this stuff, what I'm telling you, and see what you get when you research this. What I just gave you as something to look up, and tell me what you pull up. See what you get the information from that. But the answer, the Greeks were great admirers of the Egyptians. The Greek historian Herodotus was in awe of the advancements and culture of the Egyptians. In one of his books, he described the Nile civilization as follows. The Egyptians and Nubians have thick lips, broad noses, woolly hair, and burnt skin. He also said, and I quote, "No other place possesses so many wonders, impossible to describe." You see? Even today, in more modern times, many scholars have written that the Greeks were not self-taught geniuses of science, astronomy, and math, as previously thought. Instead, they were students, as Victor de Berard once admitted in his book, The Origin of the Akkadian Cults, Paris, 1894 AD, page 10, and I quote, "The Greeks were the pupils of the Egyptians. The Greeks acknowledged rather simply that they had learned a great deal from the Egypt, and that this had been formative in their own lives. Egypt influenced the Greeks so much so that they gave homage to them by depicting their gods and goddesses as dark-skinned with thick features and with what is now termed peppercorn hair per se. The Caucasian has been worshiping the image of the Negro from the very beginning of ancient antiquity. Negroes were worshipped first in the civilization of Greece and Rome. The rites of Apollo were formed by Delphus and his Negro mother, Melanis. Also, the worship of the Negro god Jupiter, Bacchus, Hercules, Apollo, Ammon, and Zeus were very popular in Greece. Negro gods were worshipped in Rome, as well as the goddess Venus, Isis, Hecate, Juno, Metis, Ceres, and Sibyl. When I'm talking about the Sibyls, I broke that down in other history. They were all depicted as Negroes with dark skin and kingly hair. Aristotle also says that the Egyptians were very black and the Ethiopians woolly hair. Other so-called scholars of Western world have come forward, as well as in 1991 AD, Michael Wood admitted on Maryland Public Television, for all their brilliant qualities of mind, the Greeks had to borrow from Africa to create their civilization. In other words, Greek civilization would have been nothing without the help of ancient Egyptians. The Greeks, as well as the Romans, stole all of their information from the Egyptians, who were Negroes. There is another part to add. Native Americans were also not permitted, along with Negroes, to become members of the Euro Freemasons. In fact, anyone with dark skin was considered black, and Negro was also used for Native Americans or Indians. Now these, no disrespect again, Euro Freemasons are so bent on keeping these secrets, even your misnomer black Masons that don't know, that they think they have from you, that the Grand Lodges have been excommunicated in a sense from the Grand Lodges for allowing misnomer blacks and Negroes into their lodges. That's why you have a thing called Prince Hall Masonry. They just call it Negro Masonry. They just call it Negro Masonry. It states in the book entitled The Lodge and the Craft by Rollins C. Blackmere. I told y'all I'm going to give y'all all scholarship for you can look at it at yourself, for you can ask your brothers and sisters, which they not going to know. In other jurisdictions, several other propositions not here mentioned are regarded with great veneration and come so near the rank of landmarks that any Grand Lodge, disregarding them, would run great danger of forfeiting friendly and fraternal relations. This would seem especially true of any jurisdiction permitting the admission of a person of the black race. The governing bodies of France, Italy, and Mexico long ago lost the fraternal recognition of all English and American Grand Lodges. This is just one instance of racism, and although today it may not seem as obvious, I ask all my brothers and sisters this question. What is that even until today you have branches of Freemasonry or Shrinerdom that are strictly for, no disrespect, Euro Freemasons or Shriners, and then branches with Afro Freemasons or Shriners that have been dissolved simply because of racism in Euro Freemasonry or Shrinerdom. I say Euro as not just Freemasonry or Shrinerdom because way back during the so-called times of Egypt, you want to say, Greeks were being initiated into the Egyptian mysteries, or in Arabia amongst the Negro, the Arabs, the Europeans were being crossed over. Then you have Euro Freemasons like Albert Pike, Albert G. Mackey, members of the Luciferian who insist on keeping confusion as followers of Lucifer, and they are names and they are key names used by Negro Freemasons also. Albert Pike, in his book Morals and Dogma, admits being Luciferian, and I quote, Lucifer, the light bearer, strange and mysterious, named to give to the spirit of darkness, Lucifer, the son of the morning. It is he who bears light. Doubt it not, a devil, the fallen Lucifer, or light bearer. Is it true? This is a part of the Luciferian conspiracy. Even Shrinerdom has their Alberts. One named Albert L. Lawson, or Rawson, a prominent scholar, a Euro Freemason, who provided the Arabic background, of which most is incorrect, and I quote, Most is incorrect. Even the titles of the temple and the language in the handbooks are wrong. It's no disrespect to no one. It's no disrespect to no one. You have to just deal with what it is. Each Islamic country has their own personal dialect. Then there's modern standard Arabic. And better than that, there is classical Arabic. Followed lastly by the original language of the Quran. You know? Quran 39:28. An Arabic Quran with no changes therein, that perhaps by it they may obtain salvation. You know? Quran 14:4. You know? It's other things when you see it from another perspective and be able to have things to compare and contrast. And we did not send any of the messengers except speaking the dialect of his own tongue, of his nation, in order to make sure things are very clear. For who? For the people that he's delivered a message to. Translated by As Sa'id Isa al-Hadi al-Mahdi. This Quran was in the Quraysh tongue. Surah 14:4 of As Sa'id Muhammad 570 to 632 AD, the prophet of Arabia's own family dialect, the tribe of Quraysh or Quraysh, of the same tribe of Banu Kinna, by way of Hashim, Arim, Ibn, Abi, Manef, 464 to 546 AD, who was the great-grandfather of As-Sayyid Muhammad, and his grandfather was named Abdul Muttalib, 496 to 578 AD. He was the head of the tribe of the Quraysh and was a black Arab. You can research this. You may ask me, are the original Arabs black? Yes. The original Arabs were Moors, black, in a book entitled The Glory of the Black Race by Sheikh al-Jahiz in 776-886 AD, who was himself a Moor living in Iraq. He described Abdul Muttalib, who was the head of the Quraysh tribes, as being the father of what? 10 black lords. And I quote, they said, Abd al-Muttalib, Abdul Muttalib, fathered 10 lords, black as night and magnificent. Abdul Allah ibn Abbas was blackest in the magnificence, and the family of Abu Talib were the most noble of men, and they were black with black skin. So the pale skin, light eye, no disrespect, so-called Arabs that they see today are mixed. They are the Turkish descent. No disrespect. No disrespect. Their own text say that it's not original in this. I'm just showing you history. Because if it was, then the quote states they would be black as what? Night. Just like black as gypsies. There's no disrespect, and everybody know that's facts. There's no biasness to this. So does this also mean that As-Sayyid Mustafa Muhammad al-Amin, 570 to 632 AD, was also black man per se? Yes, the Prophet Muhammad, 570 to 632 AD. In that dispensation will be classified as the Negro, just like Jesus will be classified as a Negro. And his wife as Sayyidah or Khadijah, 555 to 619 AD, mother of As-Sayyid Fatima, 610 to 633 AD, were both Negroes. Since As-Sayyid Muhammad's paternal grandfather was melanated black, that would make him what? Black also. Even when you deal with the historian J.A. Rogers, informs us in his book, 101 Amazing Facts About the Negroes, that Muhammad himself was to all accounts a black man. In fact, a contemporary of his describes him as a large mouth and blush color, with hair that was neither straight nor curly, that his hair was probably fuzzy, like that of the Fuzzy Wuzzy. That name Muhammad can be spelled many ways. You know, it can be spelled many ways. Even when you get to Muhammad, Ahmed, Mahmoud, and Baphomet. And when I get in Baphomet, that's things spelled Kabbalistically. But that's a whole nother teachings. And as for a Muslim, for years, when you understand, a lot of them argue with the Muslim world about the race of As-Sayyid, Mustafa, Muhammad, Al-Amin. But watch this. Watch this, y'all. And I'm going to show you how people can play this color game with you. Watch this. Muslims have always argued that it does not matter what the color the prophet was. They say it's no racism in Islam. Watch this, though. But watch this. Watch this. So when I look into things with images, because it's all about signs and symbols, and it's all about images when people put things in your face. If color didn't matter, why don't we tell the truth? So with an image of the so-called prophet, the Muslim scholars world came up. They might say some things contrary. They say that there is no racism in Islam. Yet some Islamic artists make it their business to depict As-Sayyid, Mustafa, Muhammad, Al-Amin, 570 to 632 AD, with the face veil. Why would it have a face veil, long sleeves, and white hands and feet? Why? Why? Implying that he is a pale Arab through artwork. Yet there is no racism, no disrespect in Al-Islam. No disrespect. Because if we're going to tell the truth, why don't we just show what it is and depict what it is in truth? Why don't we do that? Why we have to depict these? Why do the artists pick the pictures of these prophets as Sayyid, Mustafa, Muhammad, Al-Amin with the face veil, long sleeve, white hands and feet? Why? Implying that he's pale. You see? And so I can go so further with the usage of things. When you talk about a distinction of language and correcting, when we talk about mistranslation, because you can be mistranslated. You can be mistranslated, especially my brothers in Shrine Dome. Are we trying to clear things up? I'm trying to show you to have a balanced life. When you're talking about the word Arab, A-R-A-B, or maybe you would say, well, why not Arabic, A-R-A-B-I-C, or Arabia, A-R-A-B-I-Y-Y-A, in Arab, nobles of the mystic shrine. The reason being that a person whose native language is Arabic would not use adjective Arabic or Arabi or Arabi when referring to oneself. One might say, I am an Arab and I speak the Arabic language, just as you see a distinction in English. It is the same when expressed in the Arabic language per se. You see? I am an Arab and my language tongue is Arabic. This is another example of the mistaken in translation. Anera Arabi, while Latawi Arabia, when it's saying I am an Arab and my language or my tongue is Arabic. In the world of Shrinerdome, there was a man named Arable L. Lawson, or Rawson, who was also a printer, linguist, and even a ritualist from America. He's responsible for many of the incorrect translations used by many temples. No disrespect. For instance, the motto we use, Kuwat wa Gadad, or Gadad, is translated as fury and strength, which should be correctly translated in the Arabic language as Kuwat wa Gadad, strength and fury. So this Albert Rawson not only gives a poor transliteration for the Arabic pronunciation for the words, but he also mixes up the Arabic words, the Q-U-W-W-A-T, and the Gadub, or the Gadub, the G-H-A-D-U-B, with their meanings. And when you do that, it's all off. He's mainly responsible for the mistranslation for Arabic used in Shrinerdome today, such as the misspelling of Al-Madinah for the city of Al-Madinah. The reason simply being, why? No disrespect. You're not a native Arab. Those individuals are not scholars or are not Arabic scholars. or don't even sit under the auspices of Arabic scholars. And he does not even speak the language. So when brothers be saying they this, they that, they Hebrew, it's like tell them to write something in Hebrew, tell them to read something in Hebrew. Tell them to have the lexicon to at least be able to interpret the language. It might take a little bit of time, but you can be manufactual if you have the alphabet, the same with the metanetter. If you have the alphabet of the language, then it shouldn't be that easy for you to decipher what I'm talking about. The translation he offers are taken from previously translated papers. Even still, he does not know the language. So he would not have an understanding of the language. Just like when people quote Zachariah Stinson, have no history of the language of some Anunnaki, which is the Iberian, which they'll tell you is some aliens. It's another name, Albert P. or Albert P. Moriarty or Moriarty. He is one of the original 13 founders of Shriner Dome in Manhattan, New York, Knickerbockers, Cottage 426 on 6th Avenue, the second floor, on August 13, 1870 AD. This is no coincidence that this is the same year that the so-called Mahdi of Sudan was building a shrine in Sudan. And this what was the European and the Euro-Americans were influenced by. I'm telling y'all, it's so much that we can go and break down. You know, I want to get to some of the good part, because I don't want to hold you for too long. You know, I want us to be aware of this science. I want you to know what's being taught to you by outside Freemasonry, Eurocentric and Negrocentric, has been grafted from the real and altered. I want us to understand that. The original order started with Arabia with the misnomer Black Arabs, A-R-A-P, the Moors. In the York and the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, there are 1 to 33 degrees. That's lower science. There did not exist with the original degrees, which are Moslemism, Christianism, and Muhammadanism. In more science, we call that the triple rose of the three monotheistic religions. To put it simply, it is the study of the three monotheistic religions, and then on to the Sumerian doctrine, and straight on back to the ancient Egypt, which is the highest level you can reach. After completing all these, we can no longer be fooled by blind faith and beliefs. I'm telling you. We can go on and talk about ancient history. We can do that. But the sacred order was originally started by the Hashmonite tribes, the Quraysh, whose chief was Abdul Muttalib, 496-578 AD, as the head of the Quraysh tribes. They were responsible for the upkeep of Abu Bakr Jama, the shrine temple called the Kaaba. The Quraysh tribes collectively became known as the Bikans or the Mikkans, and were in total control of the trade in and out of Becca, aka Mecca, and the Hashmonite clan would give pilgrimage bread while on the Hajj pilgrimage and protect them. You see, I can go all deep into the ancient science and correct it with the signs and symbols, but I want to speed it up. I can show you how you can look at Cyrus and you can look at verses in your Quran. When I talk about the Cyrus star constellation, known to the ancient Egyptians as Sabit or Subdet, S-O-B-D-E-T or S-U-P-D-E-T. It's a whole chapter in the Noble Quran and in certain writings in chapter 53. Dedicated to it, called the chapter of the star, the An Najm, which consists of 62 verses. The exact age in which the prophet is supposed to die, right? The prophet Muhammad was born in the year 570 AD and died in the year 632 AD, making him what? 62 years of age. Here is wisdom from the true Shriner. And verily, he is the Lord over Sirius, the star constellation, right? Even the Al-Islam, the Quran mentions the star Sirius, which is in where? Canis Major, saying that Allah is Lord of this particular star. This was Isis star in Egypt, and the Mohammedans used it with good reason. Why? To the keen observer of the night sky, the North Star, also known as Polaris, is the brightest star in Ursa Minor. It was used by travelers, right, to guide them through the night. The assassins who dressed in black and were of a few that dared to cross the desert sands at night used the star as a map, right? And if you look at Sirius star constellation from the heavens, you will see it appear in different figures that I can show you, but I just don't want to show you right now, but I'll have to show you later because I'm trying to speed up. But you will see a certain pictorial. And what the ancient Egyptians found out about the Orion star constellation, which is that the 3 stars of the Orion belt lines up perfectly with the 3 pyramids of Giza in Egypt named Khufu, Al-Kitab, Karif, Al-Nalim, and Menakura or Mintaka. And the ancient brothers who mapped the star lodged a route on earth. It's called the Travelers of a Shriner. And they happened to lay almost exactly over the Sirius star constellation. And as you should understand, the star shifts and moves. So there is a slightly variation in the heavens or the celestial bodies. The planet Earth can also contracts and expands. So there is a slight variation on the planet called the what? Terrestrial body. The Earth axis slow change its direction every 25,000 years per se. Remember the North Celestial Pole described the small circles with a radius equaling 23.5 degrees around the North Ecliptic Pole with a consequent westward drift of the equinoxes, which is the 2 points where the celestial equator crosses the ecliptic. So when you look at the ancient symbol of the original Shriners, you can see it's almost a facsimile to the star constellation, and that this cannot be a coincidence. For as the wise man who were the magus or the magi, read in your biblical scripture Matthew 2 and 9, which by the way is another name for Freemason. For the word itself, Mason, is from the old French Macon, M-A-C-O-N, or from the Germanic origins, Macon, M-A-K-O-N, or mag, M-A-G. You know, mag, in meaning to fashion, to fit. In Old English, it became Masion, or Mason, M-A-C-I-A-N, meaning to make. The Greeks used magma, M-A-G-M-A. In Latin, it is macarar, or macare, M-A-C-A-R-A-R-E, which means to tenderize, to soften. Eventually, the Holy Bible changed it from Mason to Mag, to M-A-G, to Magus, to singular, which became Magi. In plural, yield the word magician, aka a sorcerer, aka a wizard. A person who is skilled appears magical, but when we check the Holy Bible for the word sorcery, it's magio, M-A-G-E-U-O. And in your biblical scripture, what verse, Sheik? Revelations 18 and 23, the word is used as parama or parmakia or pharmakia or pharmakia, P-H-A-R-M-A-K-E-I-A, which as you can see is the word pharmacy, which is a user of drugs, of medicine, which is taking you back to the Egyptian alchemists. Alchemy is a word that was adopted by the Arabs from the Egyptians, the Al-Shakam or the Al-Shakam, which they were as Al-Qiyma. So in fact, the original Masonic order has its roots in ancient Egypt under Tahuti, who became known as Stot and Hermes. You got to know this. The Magus mapped the star to mark the birth of the Messiah. So once again, we are called to raise our eyes toward the sky and chart the motion of the stars and the coming of the Leo constellation, from whence the Lion of Judah, aka the Sphinx, will stand up. This occurs with the equinox over 25,000 years. And we are at such a time when we break things down scientifically. Already since one sunset, since like the year 2000 AD, it's been a dramatic increase in celestial phenomena. We know all this. We can talk about all these things, but I want to get to specifics because we almost running out of time. There is also several planetary alignments, also called conjunction, that have occurred. All of these are sure signs that these things is very near. These comings is very near. When you read the commentary of the Quran in chapter 53:49, in which the star Cyrus, called in Arabic Ash-Shara, they're tied back into the black stone that predates the religion of Islam. It reads, and I quote, a deity of heaven, Zul-Sarah, was presented in Pethra by a quadrangular block of unhewed black stone, 4 feet high and 2 feet wide, associated with the idol Menat. Cyrus was also worshipped by the Egyptians, the Greeks, and the Romans. So then you can reference to a deity of the heavens and note an unhewed black stone, the size 4 feet high, and note the association with the Arabian goddess Manat, mentioned in the Quran 53:19 and 20. The Kamalan says that before the time of Muhammad, 570, 630 AD, the star called the dog star was worshipped by Banu Quzah. Again, this can be no coincidence. When you look at the map and you see how things is mapped out, I don't have time to show it because I got to speed up. But you can see the path of the Shriners, especially all my brothers know what I'm talking about. When you follow the line or you follow the certain area, one would leave Jeddah or Jada or whatever you want to pronunciate it in the west and travel eastward across the desert to Becca, aka Mecca, then south down to Yemen, then north across the burning sands to Syria. Then the final journey is from Syria southwest to Egypt. And you notice the route maps out sacred symbols of the original assassins, and it's Phasalim to the Canis Major star constellation. I'm telling y'all, I'm giving you keys, and if people have ears to hear what I'm saying, you caught what I'm saying. Herein is wisdom for the true Shriner. No one that's talking about they want to be something is right here. I'm going to keep coming at you twice a day because I have the time as I do my daily work. This is the work that I must do. This is what was given to me. They're like, if nobody's going to help you, we will. I done told y'all it's happening. The Arabic and the nobles of the mystic shrine. The original word for the shriner in Arabic, the al-Mudakkirun, was lost to many because of its pronunciation, because so difficult that even native Arabs couldn't pronounce it, let alone foreigners. In fact, most Muslims today do not speak or understand classical Arabic, which has its roots in Syriac from Ashuric, found in Genesis 10 and 22. Read in your Bible, Genesis 10 and 22. So they only speak their dialect of Arabic, just like Yiddish. If they learn Arabic, it's also through preset translations. For example, the translation of Allah to God, which is not the true translation. The right translation of Allah, the source Al-Ilah, which was changed to Farsi in Persian word Allah. Many countries that are thought to be Arabic-speaking countries, because they claim to be a predominant Muslim population, do not speak Arabic nor understand it. And although they have learned the letters and the vowels just like you and I can, and can recite the Noble Quran almost perfectly by knowing the phonetics, they really haven't the fanciest idea what they are reading without an English translation that has been translated into their native language. These are just some keys. To name a few, Nigeria uses some Arabic mix with their true own language, the Hausa, so it's not Arabic. Nor is Swahili, which uses Arabic mixed with Bantu. Now Pakistan whole language is Urdu or Urdu, U-R-D-U, and it uses Arabic script, but it's not Arabic. And Turkey also uses Arabic script, but it's not Arabic. It's Turkestan. The Persians use a script that was adopted as Arabic script worldwide, but it's not Arabic. It is Farsi or Farsi, all entirely different languages. You see? Then you have those countries that claim Arabic as their national language, such as Egypt, Somalia, Algeria, which is Algeria, Morocco, to name a few, whose tribal and foreign languages, due to invasion, are mixed with the small amounts of Arabic. In fact, they are not speaking or truly understanding the Arabic of the Quran. You can see why a Turk or Algerian, both of which use poor Arabic, yet are still classified as forms of Arabic, would end up with a very poor translation of the original Arabian Arabic Shriner manuscripts, supposedly brought from Syria to London by a gentleman called Rizik Allah Hassoun Effendi Rizallah Hassan in the year 1860 AD, a so-called Turk by the birth whose native language was not Arabic. They know this. I can go deeper with it. The spelling of his name alone tells any fluent Arabic scholar that he could not have been an Arabic scholar, but his history has proven by his book, History of Islam, which was originally written, in Turkish and later translated to Arabic along with much poetry, that he had no knowledge of the Arabic language. However, poetry called in Arabic, the shir or the seher, the SHI', is strictly forbidden in Al-Islam. The religion of the Mohammedans worldwide is backed up in a lot of other Qurans. When we talk about the honorable Qurans, I like to say 36, 69, 69, 40, and 41. Verily, it is the saying of a generous messenger, and it, the Quran, is not being said as poetry. Sir, little is the belief that you have. It was his poetry in Turkish, not Arabic, that offended the Turkish government. Then, in an attempt to deceive them, strictly Muslim country, into accepting the book from what they considered the Bible, entitled the Book of Job, Al-Kataub, Al-Ayab. He translated it into poetry, which did not fool the Turks. He was caught, declared a non-Muslim, and banned from Turkey. The ritual is known in Arabic as Al-Imada, Masjulma. I might be pronunciating it wrong. The pillar of society. The original is not to be mistaken for the poor translation in existence today, referred to as the pillar of society and other ceremonies. It's no disrespect. The original is still in Arabic and could only be understood by those who can read the language properly. No disrespect. There also once was a Ali shrine temple in Arabia. The original sacred council of it, called the Anasarullah, moved to Sudan. It was headed by the illustrious noble El Hajj, Ab el Qadar, Grand Sheikh of Ali, Temple Mecca, Arabia. He was of the Sufi order of Faris, one of three. The first being the Baptishmiya, the second being the Naqshbandiyya, who descended from the original Sunni order established by the first Khalifa, Abu Bakr. But all other Sufi orders of Fari were founded by the fourth rightful Khalifa, Ali. And they centered around their known Al-Kawithya, who were expecting the Mahdi to appear before the appearance of Al-Masih, the Christ. And they were under Umar Kawithya. And they have their Shalisha, their clan link or line of succession from Prophet Muhammad, 570 to 632 AD, through Ali to Al-Mahdi of Sudan, 1845 to 1885 AD. You see, family? No disrespect. We, all of Al-Mahdi shrine temples, all these people that understand this. When we talk about the holy day, which is July 4th, when I talk about the year of the Kefir, we just broke this down. I just broke this down to all my brothers and sisters, and it still went over their head talking about they want to be a Freemason. Why? No disrespect. I can go on and on with other things. It's other esoteric wisdom, the ancient Arabic order of the nobles of the mystic shrine. I showed you who that is in with the prophet Noble Drew Ali now. And then I can show you even ancient history as I'm breaking it down in other crafts. Showing you what is all connected back to your brothers and sisters. Showing you this. It's your birthright. This is what we're supposed to teach. Remember in Genesis 16:1? Now Sarai, Abraham's wife, bare him no children, and she had an handmaid, an Egyptian, whose name was Hagar. Her noble son, Ishmael, known as Ishmael. Genesis 16:15. And Hagar bare Abraham a son. Y'all know it. In the Bible, back to Abraham, who the so-called Hebrews call Abraham, and we know him as Ibrahim. And from Ibrahim, 2078 to 1903 BCE, straight back to Adam, 4026 to 3096 BCE, Ibn Allah. I mean, it's just what it is. We can't play with each other and act like we don't know what's going on. While we can reform things, from the right way. And I can just give you a crash course on these understandings, It's very easy to do. As I show you all different people that take your wisdom and learn from it and then throw it back to you in other ways. Listen, in the Euro Shriner Handbook called the All Shriner Handbook, under the subtitle Significance of the Fez. So how somebody gonna write a book called Significance of the Fez and your brother already wrote the esoteric science of your Moorish Fez? And a person wear the fez in clandestine. And your own brother will wear the fez in clandestine if they're a Freemason. Under the subtitle Significance of the Fez, they claim that the Crusaders interrupted the Muslims while on Hajj pilgrimage in the year 1096 AD, while others say it occurred in the year 644 AD. In the whole 1400 year of Islam, the Crusaders have never interrupted the Muslim rituals, nor have they ventured to Mecca. The date and event is another one of the many innocent mistakes that they are being corrected by the text. Even the so-called Knights of Templars were established in 1118 AD by U.D. Paynes, Godfrey de Saint Aldemus, and 7 other men whose traditional dress was black, who fought against the Muslims during the Second Crusade. But this was nowhere near Mecca in Arabia, the original sacred society of the Hashemites, dressed in all black, which is where Knights of Templar acquired it. The next step in advancement after the Knights of Templar is the Shrine, the Mohammedan creed. It was the Muslims who took them when the King of France decided he wanted their wealth and condemned them all to die. Muslims took them into the mosque and protected them. But the first they had to initiate into Al-Islam. Just look at the Shiite countries today. They still wear the white dress, which was the symbol of death in ancient Egypt. This is where all of the secret societies came from, while the Crusaders were known to wear a white tunic with a red cross. While in Jerusalem, the Muslims, some of the Knights Templars, were able to obtain information about the secret societies and used it to further develop doctrines of their order, which then spread throughout Europe. And by the time Freemasonry had made its way through Europe, I got a little bit more time, and across the waters to the shores of America, certain Euro Freemasonry became bored with the rituals of Freemasonry that they created and were looking to another fraternal brotherhood strictly for entertainment. And in the so-called Prince Hall movement, I call it niggertainment, because you're not learning nothing. these Freemasons were not considered with the true purpose of what they had witnessed concerning the sacred rituals. They only took pieces that interested them and made up Euro shrinery as it is today. I'm telling y'all, the founders were William J. Florence, Dr. Walter and Flemings, with the help of Albert R. Lawson, Charles D. McCanacum, and William Slay Patterson, established Euro Shrinery Order. They tried to call it the Order of the Mystic Shrine. I showed y'all that. And then I showed y'all other Europeans in 1914 that tried to say they the Order of the Mystic Shrine too. The Charter for Mecca Temple was actually issued in 1872 AD, which is also the date of the first session, after which their imperial council was originated on June 6, 1876. We can go on and on with that, but I hope I'm clearing things up. You know? Y'all remember, if you ever talk about John G. Jones, 33rd degree, was the first and only colored Mason in the United States who claimed to have the power and authority to confer mystic shrine degrees and institute temples in the United States, and all mystic shrine degree work in North and South America. And unless it is done under his sanction, the power authority is spurious, clandestine, and bogus. However, he never produced any Arabic documents, just like when I be talking about Deuce Muhammad Ali and Abdul Hamid Solomon. Jones neither was a native Arabic nor spoke Arabic fluently, and his handbook called The Ancient Arabic of the Nobles of the Mystic Shrine of Freemasonry is filled with all kinds of mistakes. Although he meant well, John G. Jones had on his application received and accepted June 1893 by Noble Rofel Pasha. Don't that name sound familiar? I hope it do to y'all Moors. Deputy of the Grand Council of Arabia, which gave him the authority to set up temples across the United States in different cities. Pasha is not an Arabic name. It is from Turkish name, Pesa, for a military or civil officer. We can correct things in the right way from no disrespect. We just have to do things in that manifestation when we clear things up. What a lot of Afro Freemasonries and a lot of our fathers and parents may not have known, or may not have known and won't tell you, is that any Shriners must realize is that none of them are Al-Mahdi, the patriarch of our shrine. The very fact that they are not related to the original blood makes them all bogus per se. And with that, they are not entitled to the secrets kept sacred years before their existence by the Mahdi family. As history will prove, these Euro Freemasons and these Euro shrines have no secrets except for what they have made up. And many souls sit and wait for something that never comes. So we must restore life to our brotherhood. That's what I'm telling my brothers. I got a little bit more time and I'm out of here. With all of this being said, ancient Tamari, Egypt, is the original and true home of Freemasonry, where Cush, the father of the great master builder Nimrod seed, was from. Read Genesis 10 and 8. What many people are unaware of is the fact that the first Freemason was Nimrod, because it was his tower of Babel that got attention of the Lord, Yahweh or Yahweh, in the Bible, to point where he had to come down to see what was happening with the structure or building of Egypt architecture. Now the Lord of the Bible, so angered by what he saw, that he had the tower destroyed and the language of the people confused, so that they would not be able to understand one another, which would disunify the people, thus preventing them from using the same information to rebuild this great structure again. Right? Ain't that what the text say? Genesis 11 and 7. So the secrets have been kept sacred from the time until this very day that your brother is removing the veil. Only those who have been tried, proven, and found worthy are possessed with the secrets by way of mouth to ear. Thus the original brotherhood of Freemasonry was formed. I'm telling y'all, Nimrod was the first master mason in the Holy Bible, but you let everybody get you caught up in evil, everything. For those who claim that Freemasonry did not exist in Egypt or in an Islamic country, I can show you pictures of a lodge in Cairo, Egypt in 1940 AD. I can show y'all pictures. I'll show y'all maps and things later. But I have pictures and documents of everything. When it's nothing to argue about. It's nothing to argue about. I don't have time to even talk about the people or who those figures are. But you can't be scared of your own things. The scripture on the altar is the Quran, Noble's Quran, and during their rituals, they use the name Allah when referring to God. I'd tell you about King Farouk the First was a Freemason and then crossed over to the shrine in Cairo, Egypt. He was a member of these orders. Just put it like that. Remember President Gamal Abdul Nasser, who was the president of Egypt from 1954 AD until his death in 1970 AD, and President Muhammad Anwar al-Sadat. Remember President Gamal Abdul Nasser said the reason why Israel is cursed is because God's people left black and came back white. Fact check me of that. That's Egypt's president. But then he became president, Muhammad Anwar became president of Egypt in 1970 AD until his death in 1981 AD, were also both Freemasons and members of Arab Shriners. So if they know all this, why I can't tell you this? Why I can't bring the keys? Why we got to go to somebody else that's not going to tell you and it's right here? Why we got to make those establishments so rich and we put them in academia and put them in the churches and they steady lie? And I'm right here and my degree is way higher than those. And they word cannot be bond. You can't fool a person that's under the shrine or a shriner. The original shriner, it started in Arabia with the great-grandfather of Asayad, Muhammad. We told y'all that. Later known as Hassim, 464, 546 AD. In Becca, the tribe called Quraysh, inhabitants of this village, and the men there, all being of the bloodline of the tribe Banu Kenna, can be traced back to Genesis 5 and 9. What, you mean Genesis 5 and 9? Yes, in your Bible. And Enosh lived 90 years and begot Kenan, which is the same as the name Kenan, Kinanah in Arabic. And First Chronicles 1 and 1 and 2, it said Adam, Seth, Enosh, Kenan. Note they spell it with a K and a C, but they are both of the same bloodline, or are known as Sharif. Sharif is nobles. Y'all know I'm telling you the truth. I'm synchronizing the science. You let somebody play a dangerous game with you because they playing a color game. We almost where we need to be. What do the word noble mean? Somebody may ask. The word noble means, when looked up in the etymological dictionary, come from the nobilis, which literally means knowable, from Latin, as to know, as in to meet someone. The root from which the word noble comes. A empress is Latin, and it's nobilis, which simply means knowable, known to imply, a famous person, honorable. What you doing, girl? Oh, never mind. Okay. So, Noble Malik. Oh, never mind. Go ahead, babe. I was just checking on you, honey. So, I want y'all to, somebody tell me this word, because I had this conversation with some elders. They was like, well, you just got to go back to that. And you are going back to that. The people that I met today, it was amazing. Research the word. These scholars live at the Musaeum. Research that. Research that and tell me what you get. And tell me all the information you get from that. Please. Gonna blow your mind. Then I'm gonna show you some things in history. I'm gonna start correcting more and more and more. You're gonna be like, wait a minute, I can show you a lot of stuff. But let's proceed. Which literally means knowledgeable. The root which the word noble comes is Latin, and it's nobilis, which simply means knowable, known to imply, a famous person. honorable. The Arabic rendition, sharif, comes from the root verb, sharafa, Sharafa, to know about. It's a noun because sharafat, to be high-born, high-bred, noble, illustrious, eminent, distinguished, honorable, one well-known and popular. From the definition, you can see why the word sharif is sometimes translated as noble, when again it actually means honorable. As a matter of fact, there is a phrase in Arabic, ashfrafta, which means pleased to meet, know, or pleased to know you. And the root of this word is sharif. In Arabic, the word muluki or malaki, M-U-L-U-K-I, royal. And this word would be correct Arabic translation for the usage of the English word noble. The descendants of the Prophet of Arabia, As-Sayyid Muhammad, were also called Nasib. And it also means noble, while the word asil is used for any and all people of noble descent. You see, I'm building something. You should know this. Does the English word sharif come from the Arabic word sharif? Does the English word S-H-E-R-I-F-F come from the Arabic word S-H-A-R-E-E-F? Of course. The English word sheriff, as used by law enforcement, come from the Old English and was a person of royal authority. This is the same meaning for noble. And as you can see clearly, this word is from the Arabic word sharif. They will tell you the word came from two words, one being S-H-I-R, an office, and the other R-E-E-V-E, king's officer, put together. However, both words, the S-H-I-R and the R-E-E-V-E, still pertain to a rank, which coincides with one meaning for the title sharif, and was grafted over into the English language. Remember, grafted, as well as so many other words of the English language. You have to know this to be mathematical, from love. The word noble comes from an ancient Syriac, now called the Arabic language, and those that spoke it were the original Arab Negroid shrines, the Hashemonites, the Boudian desert wanderers, the tent dwellers of the hot desert sands, and the ancient nomadic tribes. They wandered the east lands of the Samaria and America and were known by many names, such as wanderers, which is what the Arabic word Arab means. Other meanings of Arab is to move swiftly, move about with haste, and to roam. They were also the dark-skinned, woolly-haired people called the Moors from Fez, Morocco, Al-Maghrib. The West, also called the tribe of Kedar in Genesis 25 and 13, by others, and the Afar, the Dongola, and the Nubans. They also were known as Ashruf, honorables, from where they get Sharif, honorable, although as you have already read, Sharif is often used for the English word noble. You see? Even when we talk about the Hassan, the tribe of Hassan, is it mentioned in the Qurans? The whole chapter of the so-called Noble Quran is dedicated to the Quraysh tribe of Hassan, named chapter of the Quraysh. As a chief of the clan, he named it Quraysh because other tribes felt that his tribe, the Banu Kinna, was the center of attention because of the greatness of the ancestors of who was named. Remember, father of Anna Nasser, the Ansar of the helper, the grandfather of Fahir, who was surnamed Quraysh, and other tribes were jealous. Remember, you can read this. It's the street in Mecca, the quarter of Banu Hashim. Remember? Peace, Noble Brian, as Sayyid Muhammad was born and spent part of his life. You can see this. This is the lost and found 13th tribe everyone is searching for. This is also the same tribe Jesus was looking for. Jesus himself said in Matthew 10 and 5, and in part 6, remember, go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into the city of the Samaritans. Enter ye not, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of what? Israel. And in Matthew 15:24, but he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Right? Then the so-called prophet Muhammad said this of his tribe, whosoever wishes for this destruction of the Quraysh tribe, him may God destroy. Said that Muhammad said that office of Khalifa should be in the Quraysh as long as there are two persons left in the tribe. One to be the ruler and the other to be ruled. Right? Come on, it's in the orders. The original purpose was to protect the bloodline and the sacred shrines of the holy city. Man, we can go so far with this brotherhood and show you it's all yours. You know? I mean, I don't even know where to end. Even when I talk about the fez, the tarba, it's like I broke down my book. What the Turks call a tarbouche is a combination of Turkish, Egyptian, and Moroccan influence. The word tarbouche is not Arabic, but is a mispronunciation of a Turkish word. The Turkish word for the kind of hat is kula. You know this because the Turks altered the Arabic word to suit themselves. For example, the word fez was originally spelled with a S-E-E-N in Arabic, and when altered was changed to a za, changing the end of the word, to a Z sound from an S sound. In the case of the word tarbouche, the sheen has been added to the end of the root word taraba, which is the amount or level a person is affected by something emotionally. Red or crimson that is used today was specifically selected to identify the students that studied in Morocco when the Turks, the Persians, and other foreigners came and then added the letter sheen, which is used also in Morocco. The word tarba disappeared. This is more lost information for you as well, for the student. I'm telling you, I can clear it all up because I have all the documents and all the tablets. There's no disrespect. I was introduced to it and it was passed down to me. In the handbook, Rituals and Dresses of Officers, it reflects the book 1001 Arabian Nights, a combination of Sinbad, Aladdin, Thief of Baghdad, Jason and the Argonauts, and several other Hollywood producers. I'm telling you, obviously a lack of knowledge of the traditional dress of the religion of Al-Islam and the Arabic language. You can clear it all up. You can't be mad at nothing. This later led to William J. Florence, a Freemason who had completed his travels up to the Scottish Rite, to the 32nd degree of the York Rite and the Knights Templar, taking notes on what he experienced during his Eastern travel, which led to a gathering in Manhattan, New York. I told you all about that. So now, where did the Afro Shriners come from? They are an offshoot of Prince Hall's set of Negro Freemasons, better known as the ancient Egyptian order of the nobles of the mystic shrine. That's just what they are. They inherit the titles, that the uniform and the flag, and even the incorrect rituals and passwords. They were void from true history of the true blood descendants through time, from the ancient Egyptians through the Hebrews, through the Chaldeans, through the Sumerians, on down through the Arabs of the great Moors that civilized all of Europe, and the Egyptians responsible for educating the entire world. That's why I tell people that you can't get mad at no one else. That energy must change. When I get ready to go to St. Louis, I'm going to show y'all. I'm going to show you all the brothers and sisters that different nationality that's under your brother, that look just like you. It's going to blow your mind. These 32-degree Masons, or the Grand Potentates, a Negro and Rituals of the ancient Egyptian Arabic order nobles of the mystic shrine, by Booker T. Alexander, also a Negro. All these things you can see which put you back in the so-called slavery. when I talk about Noble John Jones, which is 33 Imperial Grand Potentate, claims in his book, in chapter 1, in the first paragraph, that the ancient Arabic order of nobles of the mystic shrine was instituted by the Muhammadan Caliph Ali, and his name be praised, the son-in-law of the Prophet Muhammad in the year of Hijrah, 25 AD, 656 AD. And this is incorrect information. And Booker T. Alexander, Imperial Potentate, in his book, Ritual of the Ancient Egyptian Arabic of the No Orders of the Mystic Shrine, consisting of 63 pages, revised August 18th, 1958 AD, does not approach the subject of the origin of the Afro Shriningdom. This left John G. Jones as the authority, who was expelled in the year 1896. So I just wanted to set that precedent for you so you can't be twisted by no one that look like you. You can't be. And I don't want to stay all into that. But if any questions come up, they can be corrected. I want us to know that. It can be corrected. You know? It's so much wisdom, man. Where I want to start at, or where do I want to proceed at? Somebody may ask, what does the word Quran mean? It's from the so-called Hebrew word kara, to read, Exodus 24:7, later adopted in the Kurush dialect called Arabic as kara or kara, retaining the same meaning, to read. This same word is also found in the book of Isaiah, chapter 29, verse 11 and 12, where it gives the same story of As-Sa'id Muhammad being one who is not learned. And it reads, and the vision of all is become unto you as the words of a book that is sealed, which men delivered to one that is learned, saying, read this, I pray thee. And he said, I cannot, for it is sealed. And the book is delivered to him that is not learned, saying, read this, I pray thee. And he said, I am not learned. The Noble Quran, Ayat 7, 157, speaks of Muhammad not being able to read or being unlettered, as the well-known history of Islam claims that when the angel Gabriel asked Muhammad to read, his answer was, I am not a reader. And make note that the word for read in Hebrew is kara, Q-A-R-A, to read, sharing the same root as the Arabic word Quran or Quran, Q-U-R apostrophe A-A-N. So in fact, the word Quran was borrowed from the Hebrew, as Sayyid Muhammad was told to read by the angel Gabriel in the 96th chapter of the Quran. Y'all know that's facts. Where did the Arabic language come from then? The name Arab means a wanderer, a Bedouin. You know, they migrated from where Hagar and her son Ishmael were in the wilderness of Paran in Genesis 21 and 14, wandering from the place to place known as Arabs. And the language they spoke was a mixture of Egyptian and Ashuric, later called Syriac. So Arabic is Egyptian from Hagar and Chaldean from Abraham, which is Syrian. I hope we know this. This is very simple. Who is known as the prophet of Al-Islam? There are two Arabian-born Arabs claiming that most Muslims today are followers of the wrong one. The Noble Quran, Ayat 997, who is a man named Muslimat, 558, 633 AD, who also claimed to be the prophet of Arabia and received his own book of Islamic poetry. The name Musaylimat is the same root as the word Muslim. So as you can see, Muslimat had the name Muslim before As-Sayyid Muhammad was born, since he was born 22 years before Muhammad and he outlived Muhammad. He was not of the bloodline. He is an Indo-Arabs prophet, which means an original East Indian. His family migrated to Arabia many years before Muhammad, and many Muslims today follow him unknowingly. How do we know this to be a fact? It's by the description they give of Muhammad as a light-skinned Arab with a red beard. That's why. And when these brothers be painting their beard red, that's who they following. I'm telling you, I done cleared it up for you. You're like, well, why do they do this? I just showed you. They're going to follow something that don't mean them and assassinate their own brother in the flesh. This is a historical thing. I hope you caught what I just said. I'm telling you. The Hadith 4769, Bukhari, when the Prophet prostrated, he used to keep his arms so widely apart that we used to see his armpits. The sub-narrator, Ibn Bukhari, said the whiteness of his armpits. The what? The whiteness of his armpits. This was narrated by a woman. The Hadith 474, Bukhari. I heard Anas bin Malik describing the Prophet saying, he was a medium height amongst the people, neither tall nor short. He had a rosary color, neither absolutely white nor deep brown. His hair was neither completely curly nor quite lank. Divine inspiration was revealed to him when he was 40 years old. He stayed 10 years in Mecca, receiving the divine inspiration, and stayed in Medina for 10 more years. When he experienced, he had sacredly 20 white hairs in his head and beard. Rabai said, I saw some of his hair, and it was red. When I asked about that, I was told that it turned red because of sin. As you can see, the racism was not in the original hadith, but was added in the contemporary by a woman who have no say or leadership amongst the Muhammadans. Muslimit is the same as Paul in Christianity, self-acclaimed and unknowingly accepted. Then there is the real Asiyad Muhammad, but their hadith, their tradition, say very little about the real Muhammad. There is a misconception that Muslims have about Prophet Muhammad being the greatest, and many Muhammadans act that out to create that belief. But the fact that the Noble Quran and other fact-checking references, Ayat 285, disputes Muhammad being greater than any of other Bible prophets, of which he came by blood, who lived before him, stating in the Ayat 136 in a part, that we do not make any distinction between any of them, scriptures or prophets. I can go with time period and years and dispensations. But according to Islamic teachings, the angel known as Jibrail is a derivative of the name Gabriel, borrowed from the Bible. First appeared to Muhammad in a cave of Hira in the year of 610 AD, 3 miles down from Mecca, referred to the holy tablets. I'll give it to you. And declared the declaration of the Torah, telling him to what? Simply Iqra, which is read. But what was he to read, being that the Quran wasn't even revealed yet in this dispensation? Well, this was the Bible. The angel Gabriel, last visitation was to who? Jesus, who was called in the book of John 20:16, Lord or Master, Rabboni in Greek. They retained the same Hebrew rendition, Rabboni, which simply means my Rab or Rabbi. Did y'all get the understanding of what museum, the history of Musaeum, the Museum of Alexandria? Research the scholars live in the museum. See what you get. No other god was called Rab. However, many men were called Rabbi. Amongst the Hebrews, read Matthew 23:7. But only one, Jesus, was rightly called Rabboni, the book of Matthew 23:8. So this same angel, Gabriel, as you read in your book of Luke 1:19, declares that this is the one who stands in the presence of God, who speaks to God's messenger and brings glad tidings. This very angel, Gabriel, was referred to as the Holy Ghost in John 14:26. And in verse 16, it clearly states, I will pray the Father, and he shall give you another comforter. The Greek word for comforter is parakletos, which in Arabic is rendered Ahmad, meaning praised, and is short for Muhammad. That's Ayat 61:6. So when the angel Gabriel came to fulfill the prophecy of the comforter, Muhammad, that comforter Gabriel, filled Muhammad with the Holy Ghost to become the comforter, and told him to go back and read about the child born, filled of the Holy Ghost, Matthew 1:20, saying to him simply, Muhammad, read. Muhammad did not know what to read, so Gabriel replied, Read in the name of your Rab, Lord, Master, Teacher. Read the book of John 16, verse 13 and 14. And then you'll find the Noble's Quran today, greatest stories of what? Jesus, his mother, and his family. Then we do of Muhammad and his mother and his family. The prophecy was being fulfilled. In these Qurans, even called Jesus the Spirit of Allah. Ayah 4, 171. The angel Gabriel, the Holy Ghost, was telling Muhammad to do what? Read what the Noble Quran refers to as the Injil, the Evangel, which is the New Testament, the book of the Rabboni, Jesus. Read, he said, in the name of your Lord who created. I'm just giving you what you can read as my Masonic brothers may not know. Ayat 96 and 1. In the name of your Lord. It's translated by As-Sa'id Isa al-Hadi al-Mahdi. This ties with the Shama Yisrael, aka Deuteronomy 6 and 4, which became the Kalami Shadah, or the Tawheed in Islam. The Holy Bible, Deuteronomy 6 and 4, with modern Hebrew inserts, right? Hear, O Israel, that Yahweh, Lord, our Elohim, gods, judges, is one Lord. The King James Version of the Holy Bible. What God was Muhammad called to worship? Another misconception was that Muhammad was called to worship a new God called Allah. This is the correction. Traditionally in Arabic or Arabia, referred to as Allat, referred to as Allat. Allat was the chief idol of Banu Sarif at At-Talif, Ayah 53 and 19, and Rahman, who worshipped by the Sabines, Ayat 17 and 110, the tribe of Taqif and Quraysh, the tribe worshiped Allat. The tribe of Ghatafan worshiped Al-Uzza. The tribe of Kalab worshiped Wad. The tribe of Hamdan worshiped Suwa. The tribe of Majija worshiped Wakut. The tribe of Murad worshiped Wakul. And the tribe of Himwar worship Nasar. Some of the names can be found in the Noble Quran, Ayat 59, 19, and 20. In fact, Allah is a derivative of the Hebrew Elo, or Elo, or E-L-O-H. And Hebrew is not really the language. It came from the Aramaic, which comes from the Ugaric, Elah, I-L-A-H. The fact that it is the first name of the deity of Muhammad was given in the year 610 AD, while in the cave that night was Rab, Ayat 96 and 1, a Hebrew word Rab, R-A-B-B, for master or teacher, from which you hear Rabbi or Rabboni, Ayat 287. So who did you say called Al-Sayyad Muhammad to read? Remember, in your biblical scripture, Angel Gabriel, to read the name of the Rab, not Allah, whose name does not appear until later in the 14th verse of the first revelation. This revelation is now the 96th chapter. In the Quran, where you read, doesn't he know that God sees all? God Allah's first appearance in the Noble Quran is the 14th verse, and not before the first verse, Rab, the third verse, Rab, and the 8th verse, Rab. Thus Muhammad was called to acknowledge the Rab, deity, before Allah, deity. This is significant in the mystical order of the Magus, the Magi, the Asans, the Quranians, which use the 3 passwords. Remember, 1, Rab, 2, Rabbi, 3, Rabboni. I'm giving you keys. Division, all this stuff was 40 years. Read Ayah 46 and 15, the same age as Musa, which was the Muhammadans called Moses of the Bible. It's all there. I don't want to stay too far in the same thing. The sacred house, which is called the shrine. Are all welcome? No. Only those tested, tried, proven, and found worthy in the faith of the wisdom of Islam. Men of sterling worth. You have to know all Islam. You know? Do you have to be tried, tested, proven, and found worthy? Yes. True nobles are in fact Muslims, men of sterling character, which are also Christian, Jews, and any institution, religion, or sect that respects deity and protects shrines. They are the peacemakers. You know? I mean, we can go so far with the wisdom, y'all. We have to be able to synchronize the wisdom. So I just wanted to share that with brothers and sisters. You know? I can tell y'all this, that the ancient traditions of the Talmud and the Islamic writings called the Sufa or the Suhuf, the S-U-H-U-F, as well as the books of Enoch, all agree that Adam and Eve were separated for a period of time and reunited as Adam heard Eve weeping out of loneliness. When you read ancient tablets, if you connect it to the source, so that the city was named Bika after the incident of weeping. And if these stories are true, then the language predates Arabic and Hebrew, both of which have their origins in Genesis chapter 10 and goes all the way back to pre-dynastic Egyptian language. Also, you can find the word Bega, B-E-G-A, or Bika, B-E-K-A, meaning to moan, cry, weep. You know? When you look on page 225, section B, volume 1 of an Egyptian hieroglyphic dictionary by E.A. Wallace Budge. So Bika, Becca, mistaken for Mecca, can't be found in Arabic with a root, but can be found in Hebrew in Psalm 6 and 8. Read this stuff. We correct in teachings. You should want to be corrected. When I say you only been misled by your brothers that got some masonic order. So, hey, when you do a little research, y'all, so was the shrine originally built for? You can see that all this, the area from the White Nile, the Blue Nile, from Tigris, Euphrates Valley, was considered Egypt. All the architectural plans of the Kaaba is not in line with the Islamic architecture, but rather clearly a replica of so-called King Solomon's cube-shaped temple. When you read 1 Kings 7 and 21, built for his Egyptian wife in 1 Kings 9 and 16. An Ethiopian Egyptian. Read this stuff, what your brother telling you. I'm giving you Noble Quran reference to Solomon Temple as the house of Al-Bayt. The house of the Lord visited often Solomon's temple with its high ceilings. This Bayt house that the Noble Quran is speaking about is not the Kaaba. It is thought by Islamic scholars is Solomon's temple in Jerusalem on Mount Moriah, where the Dome of the Rock is located. To the present date, in your Bible, 1 Chronicles 6 and 10, their reference made to the house of the Lord. They know it. Read it. And Jonah begat Azariah. He is that executed. Y'all can read it. I don't have time to do it. The King James Version of the Holy Bible. The word in Arabic, Hebrew, for temple is the verse is Bayath, which means house of the Lord. And in 2 Kings 24 and 13, you know what it states. Read it for yourself. And he carried out thence all the treasures. Y'all know it. I'm giving you all reference. In the quote, you can see literally the word Biyath, Yahweh, which means the house of the Lord, and the words Kikal or Kikal, Yahweh, which means the temple of the Lord. Even in Ayah 106 and 3 says it's about the Kaaba. So there are to serve the lords of this house, the Kaaba. It's not called the Lord's house, but rather to worship the Lord of this house. And the word Rab is being used for Lord. Also within the Islamic word, they already refer to the Kaaba as Betul Haram, the sacred house of Bestullah, house of God. And never do they call it Betul Rab, house of the Lord. So when you get in a dictionary of Islam by Thomas Patrick Hughes, BD, MRAS, on page 35, it lists Bet-Tolah, the house of God, a name given to the Meccan mosque. Masdullah Haram, the noble Quran 597. God made the Kaaba, the sacred house, as a shrine for human beings, and the sacred mouth, and the offerings, and the necklace of flowers. This is so that you all may know, verily, God knows what is in the heavens, and that is the planet Earth. And verily, God knows all things. You can see that the Quran is not saying Bethul Arab, house of the Lord, anywhere when pertaining to the Kaaba. It is always referred to as Bestullah, house of God, and in many places in the translated Quran in circulation today, where they put house of Allah, it only has the word Bayt, B-A-Y-T, house, and they added what they wanted to, and they added what they wanted to mean, what it does. So it's clear that the verse in our noble Quran 52:4 matches up perfectly with 1 Corinthians 6:10 and 2 Kings 24:13. I told y'all I'm always correct it when they try to mix it up and try to tell you it's different science. It can't be. And that reference is to the Temple of Solomon, called the house of the Lord. 2 Chronicles 3:1. Then Solomon began to build the house of Jehovah at Jerusalem on Mount Moriah, where Jehovah appeared unto David, his father, which he made ready in the place that David had appointed in the threshing floor of Uran, the Jebusite. And this quote literally says Bayt, B-A-Y-T, Yahweh, house of the Lord. And it's referring to Solomon's temple. This quote makes mentions that the Dome of the Rock, the house of Jehovah, where Solomon's temple once stood, is on Mount Moriah, which means chosen by Jehovah, which is the same location where Abraham offered his son Isaac in Genesis 22:2. Mount Moriah is the mount on the eastern edge of Jerusalem, located in the area called the Temple Mount, included in the area of the Masjid al-Aqsa, which is across from the Dome of the Rock, and the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, which is believed to contain the site of so-called Jesus' burial. All of these are separate temples of mosques located within this same area. I'm telling y'all, I can go deeper and deeper with the science, and they know it. In the history of Islam, they are taught that the first mosque built was called the Kuba. In this, a place 3 miles from Medina, where the prophet's she-camel named Al-Qaswa knelt down, and she brought her master on his flight from Mecca to the year 622 AD. Y'all know what I'm saying. It was a very small square building with the outer ceiling. It's mentioned in our noble Quran, Ayah 9:108. Do not worship in such a mosque that is founded on the righteousness from the first day is more worthy of your worship in it. It is a mosque where the people wish to purify themselves, and God loved those who purify themselves. So no buildings were being called al-Masjid before that in Arabia. So if it says Masjid al-Aqsa and it's referring to the Temple of Solomon, then the Kuba wasn't the first mosque built and wouldn't apply to it anyway, because it's admitted that it was very small and it didn't have a ceiling. When we're talking about history of things, there's no disrespect. It's very easy to correct it. So the house mentioned in our noble Quran, Ayat 52:4, can only be the house or the Temple of Solomon, which was built 1004 BC on the same exact location before the construction of the Dome of the Rock in 638 AD, the same year of the construction of the Masjid Aqsa, which is 6 years after the death of the Arabian prophet Muhammad in 632 AD, right? The Temple of Solomon really belongs to the Shriners and the Freemasons, who are the builders of the temple, by a man called Hiram Abiff. The builders, read 1 Kings 7:13-4. And King Solomon sent and fetched Hiram, where? Out of Tyre. He was a widowed son, per se, of the tribe of Naphtali, and his father was a man of Tyre, a worker in brass, and he was filled with the wisdom and understanding and cunning to work all works in brass. And he came to King Solomon, this is the story, and wrought all his work, who is not to be mistaken as the Hiram Abiff, the king of Tyre, in 1 Kings 5:1. And Hiram, king of Tyre, sent his servants unto Solomon, For he had heard that they had anointed him king in the room of his father. For Hiram was ever a lover of David. Notice if you look up the Hebrew word for tyre, again you can find tsore or tsor, meaning a rock, which is the same word used for the title of chapter 52. The toor confirming this house in our Quran 52:4 is definitely Solomon's temple. 1 Kings 5:1-6 by Hiram Abith, 2 Chronicles 2:13-4. And now I sent a cunning man, endued with understanding of Hiram, my fathers, the son of a woman of the daughters of Dan. And his father was a man of Tyre, skillful to work in gold, and in silver, in brass, iron, and stone, and in timber, in purple, and in blue, and in fine linen, and in crimson, also grave and manner of gravings, and to find out every device which shall be put to him with thy cunning men, and with thy cunning men of my Lord David thy father. You see? See, King Solomon temple really is a replica of ancient Egyptian temple and the architecture, which predates three monotheistic religions, the Moslems, the Christians, and the Mohammedans, known as Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. It predates all of it. There are temples all over Egypt that have the same square architecture that were stolen and supplicated in the architecture clearly seen by Solomon's temple for the Jews. If you take the curtain of the Kaaba of the Muslims, you will see another Egyptian structure like Solomon's temple, which was also built for a woman. When I talk about the original Kaaba was built for worship of the Egyptian deity Aset, Isis, who our noble Quran referred to as the moon deity, the Alat, intentionally mistranslated as Lat in the English Quran, who the Southern Arabians hold as the wife of God, Allah. They know what I'm talking about. So it's much more that we can clear up, y'all. Remember in your Bible, it says, therefore thus said the Lord God, behold, I lay in Zion for a foundation, a stone, a tried stone, a precious cornerstone, a sure foundation. He that believes shall not make haste. Y'all understand this? That's in your King James Bible. The word Zion, which means parched place. The word foundation stone, which in the Hebrew is Eben or Eben, E-B-E-N, and means having a child or a son. From the root Bana, which means the builder. The word tried, T-R-I-E-D, which in Hebrew is Bukan, means tested or tried. And the word believeth, which in Hebrew is Aman, Amen, which means faithful, proven, steadfast. Connect that to Revelations 3:4. Herein is wisdom for the true Shriner. I'm giving my brothers wisdom. Our alliance, or the right of our mystic shrine in ancient honorable benevolence and sacredness, is devoted to the cause of justice, truth, and mercy. And that's what I'm giving my brothers and sisters. This power is used. Remember, in Samuel, the high priest prophet in your Bible, what do you mean, she? 1 Samuel 3:20. Set up a magical stone to protect the children of Israel when the Philistine and the Israelites were at war. Read 1 Samuel 7:10, verse 11 and 12. Completes the story about how there was divine intervention of God to protect the Israelites. But verse 12, it was so important. Remember 1 Samuel 7:12? Remember Samuel took a stone, Eben, and set it between the misfed and the shin, and called the name of Eben Nisar, the stone of help, saying, hereunto have the Lord helped us. Y'all know what it's saying, even in your King James Version. And just what is this stone at Becca? The stone being called what? The black stone. A carnelian quartz commonly used in ancient Egypt. And its oval shape is that of the pakarif, the dove, the scarab beetle used in Egyptian pilgrimage, believing that touching and kissing it brought about purification of the soul. This is called lithomancy, the divination of stones. This entails the admiration, utilization for spiritual or healing results, which also includes praising, touching, kissing, and rubbing for religious or spiritual purposes as a charm, as a talisman, or omen. Can this lithomancy or licomancy be found before the Noble Quran? It can be found in 1 Peter 2 and 6 of the New Testament, revealed in the year 62 AD in Babylonian to Peter in the ancient city of Nimrod, the master builder, and it reads from the Greek. Remember? Read it. Read it, y'all. You can be like, damn, you're making it too clear. I told you it's our science. Why would you want to be anything lower than what your brother has? We can build our own temples. Read it. Whereas it contains the scriptures, behold, I lay in a Sion, a chief cornerstone, elect, precious, and he that believe on him shall not be confounded. It's right here in your face, your brother. And the word being used for stone in Greek is lithos, the same root word for litomancy. Within this quote, it clearly states that the scriptures confirm that this Sion, S-I-O-N, also spelled Zion, Z-I-O-N, which means a parched place in a hill in ancient Jerusalem, meaning teaching of peace, from the Hebrew, Yerah, meaning teachings, and Shalom, which means peace, is the great city where the replica of the Kaaba stood first, which was Solomon's temple, which is also a perfect square structure. It is also the original direction of the Mohammedan prayer, and the large stone that was in the mosque in the direction of Jerusalem was referred to as the chief cornerstone. Why was the mystery hidden in the book of Peter? Why was the mystery hidden in the book of Peter? You never asked? Because the name Peter is simply Petros, which means a stone. That's why. 1 Peter 2 and 4. I just gave you wisdom. And he was the chosen to identify in John 1 and 41, in which he is called Simon. In this quote, the statement is, we have found the Messiahs, or the Messiahs, which is being interpreted, the Christ, when you read Ephesians 2 and 20. Herein is wisdom for the true Shriner. How do you come up with this? How can I say this with boldness? Because in 1973 through 1976 AD, a series of research was done by a lithologist to discover just how the stone really was. They knew that the Saudi Arabian government would not give the permission. So several renowned Shriner lithologists, such as Dr. Robert Rahman, Dr. Hakim Ali, Dr. Hamad Sami, met with the Supreme Grand Council of Nine in the year 1973 AD, the Sudan, at the meeting which occurs every 9 years, and got permission to do a fact-finding on the true identity of the Black Stone. The last meeting was held in America, June 2000 AD. You know, it was at these universities. I have all the tapes and who was there. It's a lot of our people that was there that we discredit. That's why I be laughing at us. I said, man, we have no idea what the world is going on. You know? We have no idea. But what is a lithologist comes from the word lithology, which is from the Greek lithoi, which means stone-like, and a lithologist performs the which performs the microscopic study, description, and this classification of rocks and stones. They also study the gross physical character and formation of rocks and stones. Where did the ritual called lithomancy originate? It was practiced in ancient Egypt before the birth of Asiyah Muhammad at the temple of Amunet III, the 12th dynasty. Y'all know it's all there, y'all. By what Arabic name is the black stone referred? Mistakenly called the Al-Hajar al-Aswad. But there is no black stone having made Umrah, the small pilgrimage, or the Hajj, or the large pilgrimage to Becca. It's all there. So I want us to be clear with what's going on. When people be trying to say this is not that, Because I've been cross-referencing the Quran and the Bible, showing you the synonymousness of what this is all about. Remember, all this dispensation, all this cross-reference, that in the Bible, the black tents that line in the inner temple of Solomon, the Song of Solomon, Jerusalem as the tents of Kedar, at the curtains of Solomon, Isaiah 60 and 7, and Ezekiel 27 and 21. Al-Mahdi Shrine Temple also dwells under the same canopy of the black tenants of Kedar, who still roams the deserts of Saudi Arabia today, still holding the title of the protectors. It's there. It's there, y'all. It's so much that need to be resurrected. You know? There's so much that need to be cleared up for our brothers and sisters, historically and educational wise. And I'm going to continue to do it with or without my people. As I continue to show people what righteousness is and what we can do with our finances and what the right spirit can do. As we complain and worry about someone else when no one can deny what we're saying from wisdom, from history, from finance, everything. So I just leave it at that, man. I hope we come to the day where we see that this science belongs to you. What this symbolic things mean. I'll give y'all a little question. Somebody asked me, the Sphinx is a symbolic of what? I'll give y'all this. The face is at the arc of the crescent, and it was founded over the doorway of the Egyptian Museum in Cairo. Y'all still didn't give me the definition of what the ancient MUSAEUM is. When I'm telling y'all this certain thing that we do here that was popular in a time period, why we lost. And I can show y'all, I hate to say it like this, but it's certain people that a lot of us don't know about that this is their life and they stay in these areas. And I was asked, do I want to do this? And I was like, well, why not? I was trying to do it with my brothers and sisters and do it with gathering and compiling with donations with my people. But if you understand and research what I'm saying, and then I'm going to show you it's really a group of people that live like this in a certain area. It's just like, I'll give you an analogy. It's just like, I don't know if y'all heard of, in Pittsburgh, the Hershey Foundation. And they got their own little school. And I remember they wanted me and my wife to move on campus. But for me and her to move and work like that, it wasn't enough to me, I'm just saying. And so it's a form of academia and a scholar group that do this in real life that a lot of people never heard about. But you have to be introduced and you have to be invited to this specific club. And you get to stay there and all this. And it comes from the ancient times. You can look it up. And I promise y'all, it hasn't changed. But all this is the Osiris, the face of Osiris, the mystery silence. That's what it's all about. I'm telling y'all. And so I end it right there. I can show you this stuff on all Shriner symbols on top of the archway in Cairo Museum in Egypt. I can show you all your symbology. Everything. And it's going to link right back to you. And they all know this. They all know the brotherhoods have their root in Egypt. The crescent is the symbol of major Muhammadans. Prior to the Hathor, prior to the Khonsu, and the Tahuti, all shared this symbol, and all are Egyptian. It's just there. Any questions can be answered here. This is a safe place. That's why I tell us, it's a lot of our brothers and sisters that just misled us. And when somebody asks you a question, they get mad. No, we're not here to do that. I tell people, I'm initiated, but I haven't took no oath. I'm initiated through the wisdom. My brothers is initiated through the wisdom. You have to be. Anything that's worth something is a form of initiation. Going through elementary, through high school, through college, through graduate school, through doctoral studies, all those is a form of initiation. Just like in martial arts, just like in anything, Just like in anything that you learn, you have to be willing to not only give your all, but and put some resources behind it so we can say we have something to stand on. But I keep trying to explain this to my brothers and sisters, and I hope one day it picks up. But until then, I'm going to continue to do the work. Is there any questions? I hope everybody subscribe to our Temple and School YouTube page at the Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School, you know. But there's so much that I can say, you know, and share. You know, it's so much. You know, it's so much that we can correct the teachings. Even the grips, the rights, the passwords, you know, is lost the purpose. You know? It can be corrected. And that's why I say you don't have to change nothing. You must correct certain things. And that's what your brother is here for, to bring the synchronicity together. Is there any questions? As long as we come from love and truth, and this is a safe place, I really want my brothers and sisters to subscribe to our Temple and School page. I really hope brothers and sisters support our Temple and School and get literature, get books and things. Hit me up. And I hope you have the same aspiration as us having our first brick and mortar in our city of Flint and in St. Louis, where my other muftis stay, in urban communities, for we can bring something back and teach from no biasness, from no hate, you know, and we can do it and can't be stopped. That's what I'm here to do, and that's why I love using this internet in my times in the morning and in the evening when I'm in my, I won't say spare time, but when I'm in this time to continue to do this. That's why I said once we get on the major scale, it's only going to be from the help and the work of the people like you and others that support with their time and monetary donations that maybe can't come to the temple when we have it physically, but we sure can support. We sure can say, hey, this is what's happening. We can be a part of it, just like some of our parents might be a part of other televangelist things and send financing and say they just a part of something that they love. We can do the same thing, but do it the right way and make a major impact. So I hope what I be saying resonate to someone. I really do, because I really do take passion and I really do love what I'm doing. No matter what happened, I never got into this to help our people as a way of gaining financial gain, but I did hope and believe that I can show people how we can not only use our understanding once we know who we are, and once I break tax laws down and religious laws, and then we can use some of our money, which we give Uncle Sam, to build our infrastructure, something that can be up, something that can be established in our communities, and something that we can build. As I continue to show us how to continue to build infrastructure and move the right people back to our communities, because they need a place to do things at. Just like in our city of Flint, they had the Muslim House Forever, downtown Flint. We can have a plethora of noble BBT houses. This is what I'm telling people, how? By with the money that we giving to Uncle Sam willingly. This is why I tell people it's okay if we don't know, but we can't continue to complain. We can't continue to talk about some misnomer white man while we steady giving things away as being consumers. We have to wake up and be like, wait a minute, let's do something right. Let's support something that's real. Let's give something a try. Let's trust something. Let's trust something, because we can't keep complaining like, oh, we've been hurt and all this. And I say, who have you been hurt by? Who have you supported? We only get put like this because people put figures in our faces. Look what's going on today in social media. That's everybody on here. Everybody that's people watching that's popular is people that have been pushed down your throat. From people acting stupid that's my age, or from people with that same mission saying that they're going to open this and do that and talking that same blackness. It's the same thing. So if that's the case, if that's what you into, then I get it. But if you into some real results, we have to give it a try. Because things already can be done the right way. I tell people the motive have to be right. And these things can be done. And so, once again, I always going to ask my people and my family, support our Temple and School. Please subscribe to our Temple and School YouTube page at the Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School. support our companies, mypdfbooks.com, that's books with the Z, mypdfbooks.com, that's books with the Z, morrishaberdasher.com, where we have all our Morris regalia, fezzes, turbans, much, much more, dope clothing, binditbooks.com, ALO Design Pros, where we do our web designing, BHB Music, my noble Brian Hicks Bay, he have an album called Transportation of Raw Materials. And I just open my door to all y'all brothers and sisters, and my muftis do too. You know, I'm always going to say this. I'm not afraid to talk about finances. We should be able to have that conversation. If everybody else and if every other organization has used their finances to have these big auditoriums just for themselves and drive these big cars, and it's all tax exempt money, so that's money from the people that's donating. And I can give you all a tax exempt receipt. And if you working for the organization doing anything that's helping spread the message, that's in-kind service. I mean, things can be done in one calendar year. In one calendar year, things can be purchased. If I had the people help, and just like a lot of NBA players that I'm working with, just imagine if I had 300 people giving $100 a month. That's $300,000 a year. Even though a person might say that's a small number, I say I always want to start somewhere. We can always grow, but just that small number in one calendar year, and say that's coming in consistently, and say other people's giving donations. This is what I'm telling y'all. You see how much money these establishments is making. You wonder why no work is being done. You wonder why all the schools is closing. You wonder why the libraries is closed, why these churches have all these rooms and things. It shouldn't be that way, because the spiritual head should be an educator, should be a real teacher, should be a real map and a guide, should be a big brother. You shouldn't have to go to these other places to have mentorship. Why? The shepherd, the sheik, the so-called Godhead should be all that and bring the right men in to do these things. This is what I'm saying, my brothers and sisters. I'm casting out my net, especially all y'all that have jobs. All y'all, this is too simple to do. The whole thing is giving Uncle Sam less money. This is the whole thing, is supporting your religious and charitable contribution of your choice and building your infrastructure, something that we can own, something that no one can take from us. Why? Because we are the stakeholders. And we just transferring something from here to there, which the laws say that you can do. So if the laws say you can do this, and we say yes, I support this, tell me why we don't do it. It can be done so simple. Anybody with simple research can be like, yep, I'll give you an analogy as we close. This is why, brothers and sisters, neighborhoods never have nothing. This is why brothers and sisters that might have went pro, Los, and then they come back in the neighborhoods, and the neighborhoods be nothing, or they have to get jobs. I'm not talking about nobody. I'm just saying it the real, because they never want you to give money back to your community. See, these people have us, might be paying our taxes. They might be giving it this and giving it this, but they might be what? Getting what? Backdoor deals. You know what? For yeah, they doing this, but you never know. So watch this. This is the psychosis of this. None of these brothers have a brother, and I use myself. I use you, Carlos. You in the NBA right today. You my homeboy, Carlos Gill, in the league. And I just give a small analogy like this. You making $10 million a year. You understand the science. You like, man, my brother's educated, he just graduated. You done came home in your spare time like, I'm gonna go to my boy graduation. You see what I'm doing. I'm a historian. I'm a researcher. I'm a master craftsman. I confer degrees. This is the Kemetic house. I'm an educator, all that. You like, hey, I tell you, Los, you like what I'm doing. I say, brother, I want to open our temple in our city. And I definitely not only need your help, but all your other brothers that might be paying their taxes. Why don't they cipher that money, that percentage they can, to the BBT? And when y'all basketball days over, we can have our big infrastructure. We have our religious house. We have this pot of gold per se. We don't have to be begging nobody to go to no gyms or no buses or no travel teams. We have all this infrastructure with this tax-exempt money. And as we talk to not only y'all, then we talk to other young people under us, even the other entertainers, even the young rappers, how to say, hey, don't give all your money to Uncle Sam. Support this religious and charitable contribution in our hood, the brother that you know, because the prophet and the angel coming from amongst your people, and let's build this infrastructure. We can have something. In our temple and school, we can have a big studio where we do music. All these things can be done. How? By the money we giving Uncle Sam. Once Carlos know that, Carlos will be like, wait a minute, y'all. Y'all don't understand what our brother is doing? Educationally, scientifically, spiritually. We need this brother to do this. With our money that we making, all this NBA money, which Harold Belafonte told them, NBA players and all that, say, hey man, y'all do that. Let the ones that's known for this do the work. Make that money. Don't mess up the money, because the money need to be used. Don't just give it all to Uncle Sam. And then after the day's over, we got to say, oh man, we don't have no gyms. We don't have no schools. We don't have no libraries. We could have. We could have, if those brothers that's not your mission but have the money, get with their brother that have the mission and say, yeah, our brother. That's how. And then we start seeing things in our neighborhoods change. You like, damn, we got the summer camps. We got the temple. We got all this. We got our mortgage houses when brothers transitioning from jail and all these other things. This is what I'm saying, how our tax dollars can change things. And when I tell people, are you seeing this? And we arguing about Trump taxes. All rich people know this. They have nonprofits and they decipher money to all their rich buddies with these organizations. This is what I'm trying to tell my brothers and sisters when I say we can do this. Everything that I talk about is lawful. We can do this. We're giving our money away willingly, and we're not giving to our religious and charitable contribution of our choice to make things happen, to even see, can we see something happen? And I just told you with a small tittle of my family and friends' help, we can do this in 1 year. That's only $1,000 a year. And you get a taxes and receipt. And you get a taxes and receipt. It's just like if you're in the state of California, you can give 60% of your earned income to your religious and charitable contribution of your choice. So just say, if you don't understand everything all the way, you can say, well, the basic law said I can give 6%. So you might say, you owe Uncle Sam $1 million. You can say, so you saying now I can give 600,000 to my religious and charitable contribution of my choice? Yep, you can give 600,000. You can do that each year, unless you're making more money. You can give that each year. Just like everyone that understand what I'm saying, you can give her a certain percentage and offset your taxes based on the percentage that you make. But the whole thing is give Uncle Sam less money. This is what I tell everyone. And when we come to that realization, we don't have to change nothing. Because everyone know I'm telling the truth. And when you get a job, you let Uncle Sam take as much money out your check because you think you're getting a tax return. And when I sit down and show you, I say you only getting a small tittle of what was taken from you in a whole year. Don't you wish you can file exempt or understand this and support your organization and see real change in your community and see that become a multi-million operation in less than 2 or 3 years? And just a few people, a few hundred people have a multi-million-dollar operation. That's powerful. That's powerful. That's powerful. Do you know so much work can be done? Especially a person that know budget, especially a person that know finances like myself, that's educated in finances and business. Don't you know the work we can do in our community? How it'll look like we got a $100 million operation and we would get there. Why? Because then the people would feel good about donating and everybody would say, man, just give me a taxes and receipt. Why? Because you already giving it to Uncle Sam. That's why I try to educate my people. And I'm going to continue to say the same thing till I turn a different color. Because I love my people that much. And it's set up for us to do that. That's why it's set up for us to do that. And until I get all my family, all my friends, my mission is going to be the same. To tell my family and friends that y'all can support this. And we can have a multi-million-dollar organization in less than 1 year. How? By with the money that we giving Uncle Sam, think you getting a tax return. That's how. And I give you a taxes and receipt. That's how, family. That's how. And if you work with me, and if you do things, and if you support, and if you do other things as far as business, you can get in-kind service. That's what this is all about. That's why I tell people our jobs and the finances that we make is set up for us to build our infrastructure. I teach this. You can ask any tax law person. They'll tell you exactly, I'm telling you the truth. And then I set you up as a ministry. Everything you do is under ministry. You got to understand that. When you're doing that, then you operate differently. You operate different. But brothers don't want to understand it because they be puffed up with their ego. I say you will never be nothing if you don't understand the religious laws. And if we don't use our money that we're giving to Uncle Sam willingly to support our religious and charitable contribution of our choice. And I need everyone's help. I need everyone's help. My number 602-473-8767. My email, Goodman, GOODMAN, KHARY @gmail.com. I need all my brothers and sisters' help. I need all my brothers and sisters' help. And I ain't told you how to donate. I just want to get in contact with me and be like, man, I'm willing to support and see what I do. See what I do. See what will happen. See if I'll be honest about everything that I say, everything that I do, and see if anything that I'm telling you is wrong. Because everybody that got a job on here, out of the sound of my mouth, you are letting Uncle Sam take a percentage out of your check, and you think you're getting a tax return. Let's just be honest and deal with facts instead of playing all the time. And instead of saying, oh, well, this is not true, let's deal with it. This is why we don't have nothing. This is why we don't own nothing. Because we let our money that Uncle Sam take out of our check go to an organization. Noble. What? You say, how would you pay up front? A lot of times, that's why I tell people to come to class. When you say, how much would I have to pay up front? I give an analogy like this, where I don't want people to donate one time. I want consistency. This would, like I said, if we had 300 people, look at this small number. If we had 300 people donating $100 a month, that's $300,000 a year. That's a small number. Islam Prince Tyrese Lavelle, Tunic L, Islam 504 Spaz Out, Islam Omarion, Islam Mufti Brian, Islam Paul, and everybody on Facebook. I've been on here for a minute, but I know I got to get out of here. But just imagine if we had that coming in. That's a small number. Everybody get a taxes and receipt to claim on their taxes. And most people that's making more than that, that won't even offset nothing because that's not even close to 10% of a person's income. If you're making more than that, it won't even be close. It won't even be close. It won't even be close to offsetting something because $1,000 in a year for people making, I'll just give a small number, $40,000 a year before taxes, it's not even close to 10%. So it won't be nothing offset. You will still owe Uncle Sam something. You will still owe Uncle Sam something because based on how much you make in the geographical area that you live in, you have to give a certain percentage. In the state of Arizona, I'll give an analogy. If you make at least 75,000, you have to donate at least 13%. That's like 13,000. But if you're working with your temple and school, you get in-kind service as well. Very simple. So the money that you'll be giving to Uncle Sam willingly, you can divert it to your temple and school, get a tax-exempt receipt, and see real business. This is too simple. This is too simple. This should be spread to all temples and schools. I'll be telling people the work is not being done. We arguing about who someone else is and who some supreme grand sheik. No, we dealing with realistic numbers. We dealing with realistic things. How it can happen like that. I can show you how I go right back to my city and I go right to St. Louis, where the Moorish temples of America right in our city doing absolutely nothing. I ain't dissing nobody, but I'm telling them what it is. We gonna come right in, get our temple and school, get our flagged up, build our temple and school, show what it is, have our stores, everything, teach the right way, have libraries, build in communities and pillars. How? With the money that we giving Uncle Sam willingly when we get a job. Everybody that's working, you got a job, you are willingly giving your money to Uncle Sam and it's sitting in the private banking system. This is what I tell everyone. Everyone be worried about each year. Oh, I got to pay my taxes, all that. You will fulfill your obligation if you're supporting your religious and charitable contribution of your choice based off how much money you're making if you're doing that. But if you're not even doing that, you can just support in a small way and I give you a taxes and receipt. It's that simple. Who life would change of what I'm saying when a person always say, I don't have it. How would your life change? And you already giving it away. How would your life change? I would break it down. A person have to be honest and say, my life wouldn't change. My life can change. Why? Because you're already doing it. Your life not going to change. Why? Because you're already giving it away. What's going to happen on the amount of money you make, if you don't have any deductions at the end of the year, what's going to happen is what? You're going to owe Uncle Sam a check. This is what I know. You are going to owe Uncle Sam your check. Ask your dad or your mom if they make $100,000 a year or something like that. If they have no deductions, ask them how much they got to give Uncle Sam at the end of the year. If they're not part of a religious and charitable contribution of their choice, ask them and see if they be honest and tell you, man, I have to write Uncle Sam a fat check every year. Why? Because they don't have no deductions. Because they don't understand how the religious laws are set up. Because they don't understand tax code. And I'm telling y'all, this is how we can do things. Peace, Noble Dantes. So everybody that's asked me on YouTube, I tell everybody, we can't help with pennies when we say we don't have it. We can help that way, but when I say when we choose not to support, when a person pick up pennies off the ground, when I speak on these things, I say, brothers, with the money we giving Uncle Sam, I'm getting ready to go to St. Louis. I'm telling y'all, it's getting ready to happen. So when we build our temple in my city of Flint and in St. Louis where my noble at, and it's a more science temple there and in the city of Flint, and they're not teaching nothing. No disrespect. And I'm telling y'all, we can build this with the money that we giving to Uncle Sam. Who? All of us. 300 people giving $100 a month is $300,000 in one calendar year. That's at least. That's how. My number is 602-473-8767. My email is my name, Goodman, GOODMAN, KHARY @gmail.com. But please don't give me a call later because I'm getting ready to go work out. You can send me an email or text, and my muftis will correspond with you. But we can build. We have land. We have 10 acres in the middle of Mojave, Arizona, and Vegas. People can look this up. I own real land in my city of Flint. I own real land in my city of Flint. We're going to have our noble BBT houses. Yes, we understand a temple or a temple of church, but the temple and the church is the people. We need infrastructure. So we got to be smart and be strategic in what we doing. So if it's not a whole bunch of people, we got to get these houses in our community, own them. And once we get the opportunity to get some big, we do it. And the opportunity is in my city of Flint. How? Because there's so many abandoned churches. We're going to convert them to the BBT, just like it is in St. Louis. And then we can get houses in the communities. That's how. That's how. 602-473-8767. And when people subscribe to our Temple and School YouTube page, all of us there. 602-473-8767. And my email is my name, Goodman, GOODMAN, KHARY @gmail.com. What you say, Noble Dantes? My noble's on my Facebook page. Y'all should come on YouTube as well. But we're coming to Flint and St. Louis. It's going to be done the right way. It's going to be done the right way. We don't have to complain about nothing. When I talk about templates, it's already been done. Templates has been done. It can be done. When I talk about things, when I show things the right way, when I show how the temple is set up, when I break things down, when people take things in misconceptions, I say that's not valid. I show you how things are done because everything must be proven. 1 Thessalonians 5:21 prove all things. So if it's something lawful, if it's something real for us, then someone should show it instead of saying they say and they heard and be stand corrected. And I do that. And I show y'all our prophet have the tax exempt status. The prophet has a tax exempt. Our temple, we have the Moorish Science Temple, we have ID card, a travel card, and a tax exempt card. Our Temple and School ID, which is just Temple and School ID, we just put our tax exempt status on there because we're tax exempt for the federal government, religious and charitable and contribution. What you say, Dantes? Religious communities in all of our areas. The BBT will impact like no other. Come to class and learn. I tell everybody that for they can come and be a part of this. I want brothers and sisters to be a part of what we're doing because it's life-changing. Because it's life-changing, and I've been challenged from all walks of life. And I have a real library, not knowing of these things that you would see somebody quote and tell you to go to some store and spend thousands of dollars on. I can sit up here and tell you anything that anybody can come up in their mind and tell you to go to some ancient bookstore and spend thousands on some paper you can get from your brother for a fraction of the price. You can get it printed and bounded, or you can get it as an ebook on your tablet and take it all over with you. Or we can print it and bind it the same way Office Max and Staples can. But these is the things that I ask my brothers and sisters when I talk about tax exempt status and using our money that all of us make and we willingly give it to Uncle Sam. I know what you say 300 people is nothing. I'm one who can bring 3 or more off my word. I told y'all, Noble, I get this all the time. I want to be honest. If my empress come out here, she'll be like, what you said, 300 people is nothing. I'm one who can bring 3 or more off my word. Now, brother, I done got that a plethora of times. Now, when I lecture this at the university houses and at the Masonic houses, I promise you, the only thing that will get me there faster is I have to shut this down when it's like it's contingent on this. Just like when I almost took a job at a university. They was like, well, it's contingent on you shutting this down because they're like, you're giving everything for free. And why would we want you to be a professor on here with people paying to hear you lecture and you will give it away for free? And I'm like, damn, that do make sense. But then I'm like, I feel we can get there without that. I feel we can get there without being compromised. But after a while, a person can be mad at what a person do because I went in debt for what I know. I'm matter factual. I am a fact checker. So if the European want me to teach them, I can't be a poor righteous teacher for nothing, and I'm wanted, and I can make a good living for myself. I'm not complaining about nothing, don't get me wrong, because I live totally under my means, and I do a lot of things to make money. All my muftis know that. But at the same time, come on. So when a lot of people say that, oh man, this is not nothing, I say, okay, well, we can make it happen. It's enough family members and friends to do this stuff. That's why I tell people, it don't even have to take a whole calendar year. It can take people 1 year and be like, man, let me donate $1,000 and let me get a tax exempt receipt. Once you see that $1,000 based off the money you make is not even a tittle of what needed, you're going to be like, well, wait a minute. I really see what's going on. Sheik, let me give you this and give me a tax exempt receipt. This is what I'm telling people. It's that easy. But we don't put that much pressure on nobody else that's been educating our children. They've been taking money for it. We don't stand tall and say this. That's why I said we treat our people the worst when it comes down to business, when it comes down to anything. Why? Because we don't hold any other establishment in that manifestation. That's why I tell us, when people say trust and all this, I get it, but we say that, but we only do that with our own kind. We don't trust nobody else when we sending our kids out to be taught at these Eurocentric and Negrocentric public schools. We feed them and we letting the public schools and the government tell them what food to eat. And we're not paying attention about that. But when we deal with us, we say trust. It's never no trust at the beginning. How? Because it's never well established. A trust is 2 ways. So what can a person trust if nothing was given to trust? I always tell a person when they say trust, what is there to trust when there was nothing never to given to trust as a trustee or as a vendor? If I'm not given nothing to trust. If I said I'm going to do this and I collected $4 million and I don't do it, then the person can say, oh, the trust. But that ain't happened with me. If my mooches can get on here and say, well, everything he gives it back tenfold. When we have our mortgage balls and when we need regalia, all that, she gives it back. When we travel, we do things, he operates on his own dime. When he in academia, when he travel, he uses his own money. I don't live off none of this stuff. So when I tell people trust, that's the thing. We will come up with all these byproducts not to do something, and we know it's the right thing to do. You know? Yeah, I get that, but I understand that. But I always talk about the excuse. When you says people feel comfortable with things that reputable and established. You admit you making my point. Brother, I promise you, this was one of my dissertations. You are making my point. If you were at a lecture, people would be like, brother, you making this brother point. What he's saying. Only way things that be established is they have to start. Now, are we some of the people that's builders? You might have some people in the middle, and you have people that jump on the bandwagon when they see the actual brick and mortar. All 3 levels is good. But I'm saying to get to a certain level is a process. This is what I'm saying. And we have to be willing to go through the process. Because established don't mean reputable. Established don't mean reputable. Because I can say I'll be honest, certain things is established. Like I'll give you an analogy, the Nation of Islam. But it's some things that's not reputable just because it's established. It's a lot, the Masonic houses is established. It's not reputable when it comes down to the truth of the matter who we are. A lot of people that teach so-called Christendom and Hebrewism and all that might be established, but it's not reputable. So just because it's not big in the eyes of people how they judge in success per se, that don't mean the wisdom is not reputable, because everyone that a person might think heavy, if we don't have a brick and mortar, the wisdom is unmatched. This is what I tell us to be what? Establishers of our wisdom. We have to be able to what? Establish the right things, because there's a lot of things that's already been established. So we get that. This is what I tell my brothers and sisters. Will we want to join some things that's established, that look good on the outside, like clandestine? Or will we want to join something, a brotherhood that's established, that's building, that can stand strong on principles and understanding? And you don't need a million men to back it up. A few can stand up to it, you know? I understand, but we're talking about context. If something is reputable, we're not here for that. I hope brothers understand what we're saying. And I understand what you're saying too in love, brother. When we say, we're saying the same thing, but I hope you do. When we talk about context, context is everything, you know? Context is everything. That's why when I say context and certain definitions and things, everything has to be read and things have to be used in proper context. And that's why I say things. My whole thing is about doing something that's already been done. And what's been done is just like any other religious house. What they use, they finances, and they tax exempt. That's how all establishments establish themselves. That's how the Amish, the Mormon, that's how even the Sopranos, on the Sopranos, when they were going through the Catholic Church, tax exempt for the federal government, using those funds that you would give to Uncle Sam to build infrastructure. That's my main thing. And the only way to do that is to what? Establish. Establish things is to start. A start is a group of people that we talk about a nation, the same way how the temple was set up. The same way our prophets set the temple up. It's the same way we're doing things now, with no biasness, with no prejudice. That's why I say it's a start. And so when I say trust and when I say courting per se, all I can tell people is look at the body of work. Everybody from different organizations and from different areas. Look at the work we've done. Look at the brothers coming together. Look at the work. Look at the establishments. Look at the land. It can be done in a better way. How? With the people. Just like everything, even Wentworth Matthews and them, even the commandment builders, they all had to establish something when they had the Moorish Zionist temple of the Moorish Jews. We just think it was bigger than that because we're looking back. We're looking back at things. You know, when I ask people, have they ever been to any Moorish Zionist temple of Americas in any communities? I ask any brothers. Then I ask brother, how many do you think it is? Or this and that and the other. When I ask brother, do they know any sheep? Do they have any Moorish manuals? Or have we just watched videos? I ask brothers this all day, and it be from no disrespect. So I just be saying the energy that we give each other from a lack of, we will have all these byproducts and saying, listen, let's do this. Why? Because it's already been done and we're already given. And all we have to do is transform our giving. That's all your brother is saying. And I know brothers, we're not here to debate, but I get that. When I say the trust, I always ask my people, where have the trust been broken? Because I can give an analogy right now. A lot of people, and I just give an analogy, will spend $1,000 in less than a year on what? Things that's meaningless. I've talked to brothers all day, they say, man, I spent $1,000 on something meaningless. So he was like, so what do you mean I have to trust? He was like, if I've been dealing with you and I know what you're doing, especially brothers that say they've been dealing with you for 5 years and following you for this, he like, $1,000 ain't nothing because I'll give it to you. I got a homie in prison that donated $1,000 his family. He like, man, that's nothing. He like, I just want to be on the books. I know people that spend that in the weekend having a ball. I know this, and it's no disrespect. So when we do things, when people say trust, I get that. I get that. But from the trust aspect, the individual has to be trustworthy. And I don't believe I've broken my trustworthiness. I only can talk to the people on the internet, and the people on the internet that don't know me personally can only get the information from the brothers that do know me personally. And the people that know me personally is brothers from all over different states. All my muftis and nobles are from all different states. I'm from Flint, Michigan, but I reside in Arizona and Las Vegas. I'm getting ready to reside in St. Louis as well. I'm from Flint, Michigan. I have a few more muftis in my city. Have a few I'm dealing with here. You know, these are the things that we doing. I got a lot of professors that support. I say once we get to this consistency, because a lot of things are not consistent, I always talk about consistency. I always talk about having things that we can depend on so we can continue to do the work. So once the consistency comes, it's going to be known because everything that I say I'm going to do, I'm transparent. That's why. And my body of work explains itself for myself and for if I'm telling people who I am, because most people only know me from this internet. But I guarantee you, my muftis that's on my Facebook page can talk from first person and tell you my character. Even a lot of people that's not Moors can tell you my character, how I helped them getting out of prison and gave them suits and helped them get jobs and all these things. And even in the city of Flint, when I used to go to the Thumb Correctional Facility in Lapeer and do so many things in so many backgrounds and help people graduate from college. So only my body of work can speak for itself. You know, that's all I can give. The books and things that I gathered and compiled, the work that's all it can speak for. The community charity that I do, been doing for years, you know, taking 100 kids to the Phoenix Sun Games, showing how to get these things and getting these things donated to our organization. It's just the body of work that I've done. And the only way I tried to show this with the world is through the internet, through my social media pages. And you know, and a lot of my lectures I couldn't share when I was in academia because they private. I shared some. You can Google me on Google and see my body of work. Anything I post on Facebook and Instagram, AI will show you my background, so you will see that I'm not making anything up. Anything that come from me, you will see is not biased or it's not prejudiced or anything. So, I mean, I don't know much more that I can say and that I can show on this social media is I will hope it can spread. And I hope it go to the next level when brothers and sisters understand about their finances and about charitable giving and about being tax exempt for the federal government and holding someone accountable for their actions. And like, let's see what happened. Because I ain't never gave nobody no finance and donated and said it wasn't going to happen. And everyone that I gave finances to, I was okay giving it because I was okay with what I was doing and what was going on with my finances, especially when it comes to spiritualness. I'm always about building something. I'm never about dealing with something that's always established. Because a lot of times it's not going to give you what you want. It's just pageantry. I like to do what we're doing here. So once again, I give y'all gratitude. I give y'all thanks for y'all time. But I hope we come to the time where all brothers in all background of life really see what we're doing and support with their time, their finances. And we can build this temple in less than a calendar year. And when I say temple, I mean our educational house. That's what this is all about. What you say, Noble Dantes, Shikari has blessed us all with the wisdom. What he is doing on a consistent basis is just on a different level. Through the work, we will achieve all that Allah has in store. The work will show. It's coming, Sheik. And I know it is. Because I keep getting the same thing from different backgrounds of life that I come across. Professors, like I just was out today in my travels. And it came to me, they was like, oh, you graduated from GCU. They was like, oh, yeah, you helped my son. They was like, man, honors to you. They was like, yeah, he got your books. These Europeans, I'm in Arizona. These no brothers coming up to me. This is what I tell people. And all my muftis that been to Arizona, they know it. They see the vibration. I operate in real life. And since I've been home, I told y'all I've been energized because I've been welcome to lecture at other houses that people don't look like me, that already give donations. And I always tell y'all, they say, you're not used to this? And I say, no. If I was used to this, I'll be back home in my city of Flint. I just left the city. It's so much plight, we can easily own a building and turn into a temple and school. This is what I tell people. I can go right to St. Louis where my Noble Dantes, who I'm speaking to, and open a temple right today with all the wisdom, all the science, everything that we need, and use our money that we giving Uncle Sam, our tax dollars, to build our organization, and I can give everybody a tax exempt receipt. Nobody would lose no sleep. Nobody life will change. And everybody be like, this man been telling you 100% facts. And if we don't understand that, we're going to give our money away. Any questions? Any questions? We've been going for a minute. Any questions? We can establish this. I'm telling y'all, man, with no problem. It won't be no shade. It won't be nothing. It'll be very simple. And everybody be like, this all it takes. Yes. I'll show you. Yep, this all it takes. What this? This is all it takes. That's it. That's all it takes. Absolutely. It's that simple. Yes, it's that simple. It's that simple when we come together. Yes, it is. Nothing complex. Nothing hard for no one. Because the thing I know, everyone has it. And with the money that we giving Uncle Sam, everyone definitely has it. That's what I know. So we have to try something so we can say, hey man, this is he's full of crap, or he's not full of crap. The same way we should be doing any individual that say that they was going to open up a school or a temple and collected the money and didn't do that. That's why I said when we say trust, we don't know what to do sometimes. Sometimes we just talk stuff and complain and put our boots on the ground. Why? Because the same thing that the European and Albion, the trailer like do it, your own brother do it to us. It happened in the music game. It happened with Patrice Lumumba in the Congo. It happened with the Big Six and the so-called the civil rights movement. It happened all the time. So I get what Noble is saying about the trust, and I get that. But I really believe the body of work that I've been doing for this long amount of time, I think it should speak for itself. And then the only way is to see what happened and see what's been done. And what happened when those things come in. All my muftis is going to hold me accountable. I tell everybody, all my muftis can speak for what I'm saying. They're going to hold me accountable. They're going to say that I ain't SHIT off the top if those things happen. But we all know those things are not going to happen. Why? Because we know. It's just some things that we understand. It's just some things that's destined. It's just some things that we doing now. Why? Because if I was operating the wrong way, I don't have to do this. Everything I can do, it can be for pay. I've turned down pay. Why? Because I don't want to embarrass brothers and sisters. I've turned down finances. To be like, man, I'm not going to do that. But I go to your imam and we can have a discussion. Or I talk at your spiritual, but I'm not going to do that and destroy nobody's understanding because they might be at a certain place and excited. I'm not going to do that. But I can share the wisdom, and we can have our school, we can have our temple, our educational house, our spiritual house, our architectural house, our history house. Once again, remember, I told y'all, look up the word museum. Did y'all look that up yet? M-U-S-A-E-U-M. Did anybody get a chance to look that up as we close? Did anybody? I asked anybody to look that up, the ancient museum. Did anybody get a chance to look that up? Also, the Mouseeion of Alexandria. Did anybody get a chance to look that up? When you get a chance to see what I'm saying, then I'm going to show y'all the letter that was given to me from a university that they house people like this today. Today. And I say it's a whole different world that we don't know about. Did anybody get a chance to research that? The Mouseeion. Anyone? And then maybe at a later time when I say things be contingent on you not teaching your people this, and you always got to say, well, why is everything contingent? Just like in Negro Dead Masonry, you take an oath of not to teach it, your people the truth. Did anybody get a chance to research that? All you got to do is research, did the scholars live in a Museum? And tell me what you get, yes or no. And tell me what type of information did you get. And that should open a little tittle of your brain. And then when I say about the library and the Royal Archives and the Library of Congress, when I say my library is just as extensive or even more than these, because I know this for a fact. I be losing documents. I got information stored on everything. I don't even know where the stuff is at. Research a little bit. Research a little bit more, Noble Dantes. The MUSAEUM. The MUSAEUM. Ask AI or anything, said the scholars live in a museum, MUSAUM, also known as the MOUSEION, and tell me what you get. And we out of here. And we out this bad boy. This is what I'm telling y'all. This wisdom saves lives. This wisdom is worth everything. That's the analogy a worker is due his hire. I'm trying to tell y'all big facts. A lot of the books that I gathered and compiled, my Masonic Masons wanted to buy them. Because he was like, this got a lot of wisdom in it. It's like, your brothers and sisters all don't have your books. And I'm like, no, maybe when I die, they blow up like J.A. Rogers and Sheikh Anta Diop and Dr. Ben and John Henry Clark and Dr. Francis Cruz Wilson and Chancellor Wilson. Maybe my books will blow up when I'm dead. I don't know, but I'm alive now. And I done cleared up the wisdom and I can lecture it and I live it. Did anybody find it? Real fast. We've been going for a minute. Did you find that? And do you see what it is? If you didn't, I'll give it to you. The museum, the MUSAEUM, also known as the Museum, MOUSEION, of Alexandria. Of Alexandria. More than just a library. When they talk about that Library of Alexandria, it was more than just a library or a modern museum. The museum was a major research institution and center for learning, attracting some of the greatest minds of the Hellenistic world. These scholars were provided with salaries, free food, and lodging. That's right, Dantes. And even servants, allowing them to dedicate their time and efforts to research and intellectual pursuits without the burdens of daily life. The museum complex included a communal dining hall where scholars ate and shared ideas, private study rooms for individual research, residential quarters where the scholars resided, lecture halls for teachings and sharing knowledge. You see, in essence, to the museum operated much like a modern university or research institution where leading academics lived and worked together, making it a pivotal center of intellectual activity and knowledge in the ancient world. This is what I'll be telling brothers and sisters what this is all about. And then I can show you in history where it comes from. When I start talking about the Pentateuch and all this Egyptian history. You know? Think about what I'm saying. Think about what your brother is saying. And that's why it's the importance. What our prophet said, the Moorish Zion Temple wasn't no Islamic sect or no government body. It's a school. The same way the BBT is. And I showed y'all the state booklet, how the temple was set up. I lecture all this, transparentness. We have to give the right thing an opportunity before we can plant our flag. Any other questions, family? Any other questions? This stuff is too simple. And if I show y'all, I don't want to be pulled and be in Europe or be in these other places where we be like, yeah, this is our sheik, and he done took the bait for money and he gave up on the mission. I ain't giving up on the mission. I ain't giving up on the mission for a check. I'm not compromising myself. I don't want to be in a room and be living somewhere and you only teaching these people just for a salary. I don't want to do that. Even though that's a choice. And this, I'm telling y'all, this is what this will go to. It's almost like taking you and secluding you when you get to a higher level and like almost like putting you on a throne per se. It's like, I don't want to be on no throne when I'm away from all my people and say, we just house you here and pay you this. Hell no. No. Why? Like, why? I didn't go to academia. I didn't confer all these degrees. I didn't build this brotherhood and for my brothers to take me away from my brothers and say, well, we could pay you this to teach this and you only come out these certain times. Like, you got to be crazy. I'm doing this for my brothers and sisters and with the help of my muftis as my companions to show brothers and sisters what in real life what we can do. And then I'm showing people what we can do with our finances in real life and really change it and model the same things that other people is doing. Just like the Orthodox Church, just like the Jewish Church, just like the Catholic Church, and be under our religious rights. And everybody get a tax and receipt. And then you can say, well, this brother was honest. Any questions? I'm out of here, man. Any questions? Everybody know how to get with me? If you want to donate, like I'm saying, and start, we can talk about these things. I have Zelle, I have PayPal, I have Venmo, I have Zelle that's connected to my phone number. I have PayPal, I have Venmo, the Burning Bush, Tabernacle, BBT, Science Temple. So all these ways is connected to how we can support our temple. If anybody want literature and books, I give books and things for small donations. I help you build your library and we lecture this stuff. So once again, thank y'all, man. And please support our temple and school, you know? You say options aren't available here. I don't understand what you mean, options aren't available here. I don't know what that means. Can you elaborate on that, Noble? When you say options aren't available here? But I don't know, but whatever that means, I give honor to you and everybody. And when options are available there, I hope it come available. I don't know, no pun intended. You know what I mean? Because I didn't get that. You know, when you said options not available there. You know. But everything, if y'all need books, everything, hit me up at my email, Goodman, KHARY @gmail.com. Hit me up, ask me some questions. Subscribe to our Temple and School page. Come to class, anything that you need. So I don't know what that means, something that's not available, but I hope when these options do come available, oh, you say options aren't available for sending funds. Oh, that's fine. You know, I tell people it's not always about the funds, but when times is available, things will happen. I know this, one of my homies that was in prison, and he was like, "Sheik, I was on, because they let a lot of the prisoners watch my videos." And one of the prisoners was like, heard somebody say that they didn't know how to do this and do that. And they was laughing. They was like, well, hell, in prison, he was like, well, in prison, we'll find a way how to support. We'll have somebody do this and do this. He was like, and that's why I laugh. I say when people are in distress, when I use the analogy of we're in distress right now, and we don't have to go to prison for distress, we find ways to get things done. And he was just using that analogy, how when people locked up, have to wait to get locked up and they find a way to do things, and how when people free, I'm not saying nobody making excuses, but we'll say we can't or we don't know how. It's just like a junkie. They'll figure out a way to get high. And so the same thing with me, myself, if I want to do something, I'm going to figure out a way to get it done if it means something to me. That's all I'm saying. And I don't mean no disrespect or no one. I always talk about myself. I can remember when certain things came out and I didn't have know how to send money, you know, wirely. I give the money to somebody and say, do you have that? They'll be like, yeah. I say, can you send this on my behalf? Why? Because I got the bread. Because my heart was pure. I figured out a way to get it done until I figured out a way to set those ways up so I can do it myself. And then I did it myself. But I knew people that has those connections and had those devices where they know how to send money electrically. And so if I had the money, I say, can you send this to this on my behalf? And give my email, they say, yeah. Why? They say, just give me the money. And I done that. So I know how to fill holes. Things can get done. I know this. You know, and it's just like I say, getting to that next level of, like you said, what? Trust and belief. So I understand that. And when trust and belief, it'll remove all those, I won't say excuses, I would say stumbling blocks that'll keep us from doing things. And stumbling blocks can be somebody else gave us a bad taste in our mouth. Like somebody else said that they would open up a school. I ain't tell us to take our kids from nowhere. I said we opening up a temple and a school so we can have something to compare to. Eventually, if that happens, yes. But I understand what brothers be saying because we only been had by our own people. I get that. I understand that wholeheartedly. And I get those stumbling blocks that'll keep us from doing things. And I hope we do get to the time where we move past those stumbling blocks. I hope we get to the point of knowing. I hope our understanding go from belief system to understanding. I really hope that. And I hope one bad person or one bad image of a representation don't mess it up for the rest of us that's harsh, that's pure, that need our people to do these things and use our funds to do something. So I hope those things haven't deterred nobody to deal with us. And I hope I've done everything in my power and continue to do those things in my power to be, you know, what it is to get these things done. So I hope no one bad apple mess us up from doing things. That's what I want to say. I hope we don't let no image on the internet mess us up, because that's just a small tittle. Remember, when we're looking at this big picture, it's only a small tittle that's doing wrong. And we cannot let that mess up the body. So once again, I'm here. I love y'all. I know how to get with your brother. Peace, love, light, and remember, support our temple and school all the way you can. Peace.